Welcome back to Infinite Novel Audiobooks. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share. Chapter 326, Lord of the Universe. Within Primordial Chaos City Lord. After blocking Qin Hao's breakthrough aura outside Primordial Chaos City, had been observing Qin Hao's entire breakthrough process. The exaggerated source ocean spanning 10 light-years, the immense divine power, and Qin Hao's continuously expanding divine body all brought him immense shock. Having traversed the universe since ancient times, he had witnessed countless geniuses and powerful individuals, and even many powerful beings within the universe sea. However, his disciple always brought him unexpected changes every time. What surprised him even more was the speed at which Qin Hao's laws improved. The continuously changing law aura around Qin Hao during his breakthrough, that mysterious and strange aura, was the time law and space law that he had been comprehending. The two laws continuously merged under Qin Hao's guidance. In just a short time, he witnessed the rapid growth of Qin Hao's time-space fusion laws. As someone also comprehending the time-space fusion laws, he deeply understood the difficulty of fusing space-time law and the difficulty of its improvement. For countless years as a universe lord, his strength had been at the sixth-order universe master for an unknown duration, yet he had never broken through to become a true god. The time-space path he walked became increasingly difficult to improve upon. He even doubted whether the path he was on was right or wrong, and whether he could truly become a universe strongest. Now, feeling that obscure aura and the rapidly growing space-time law from Qin Hao, he seemed to see the future of the space-time law path and a different aspect of this path. Although Qin Hao had not gone as far as him on the time-space path, nor comprehended as deeply, the brand new avenues and directions for advancement refreshed him, and even his long stagnant laws began to show a hint of movement. In the primordial universe, Primordial Chaos City Lord, whether in strength or talent, was among the top tier, no less than those who had already become universe strongest. However, his luck was slightly worse. There was no clear path forward in the primordial universe, no method to break through to universe strongest. All breakthroughs were more a matter of luck, simply stumbling upon the correct path and unknowingly completing the breakthrough. This also resulted in each person, although they broke through, being unable to share their experience. The sixth-order universe master, represented by Primordial Chaos City Lord, were beings who were just a bit less lucky. They didn't even know if the path they were on could lead to becoming a universe lord, but all they could do was find ways to improve and continue down this path. This state also had a certain impact on their state of mind and temperament, trapping these powerful beings in place, always unable to find the opportunity for breakthrough. Now Primordial Chaos City Lord, from Qin Hao's breakthrough process and the improvement of the time-space fusion laws, saw something different and became even more resolute in his path forward, and the bottleneck also began to show cracks. As the cracks continued to expand, becoming a universe strongest would no longer be a problem. Time was rapidly passing, and Qin Hao's breakthrough had not stopped. The transformation of his divine power, divine body, and divine kingdom continued. Qin Hao's comprehension of laws also continued. The progress of the fusion laws was ongoing, and the star gods in his 365 divine kingdoms had also entered a state of cultivation. For Qin Hao, each transformation, besides the transformation of strength, was more a brand new understanding of the operation of the universe's laws. This feeling became even stronger during this breakthrough. The resonance of his mind with the universe and with the laws made his improvement in laws even more significant. Even the enlightenment on the path of life that he had just felt in the Yan God clan became much clearer at this moment. The fusion of the 5 elements laws began to continuously improve along with clear context, and even formed a slight connection with the time law and space law, gradually merging into them. At the same time, the Crimson Bright 9 Heavens diagram also began to operate again. Qin Hao's divine body, driven by the Crimson Bright 9 Heavens diagram, began to gradually change, becoming more solid and even his genetic level was once again elevated. His 36,500 times gene level continuously rose, 40,000, for 10,000,42,000. Finally, it stopped at 45,000 times, and Qin Hao's divine body expanded once more. At Qin Hao's current genetic level, his normal divine body size had already exceeded 3 million kilometers, but the breakthrough to Universe Lord triggered another expansion of his divine body. Upon breaking through to Universe Lord, the divine body would be 100 times larger than before the breakthrough. Qin Hao's divine body, with the integration of the Source Ocean, had already continuously expanded to tens of millions of kilometers and was still growing rapidly. After his genetic level increased again, the growth rate became even faster, and the speed of absorbing divine power also became more rapid. At the same time, Qin Hao's will and consciousness were also undergoing a transformation. His soul power was becoming more solid and resilient, and his will and consciousness were continuously expanding, instantly exceeding 1,000 light-years, then 10,000 light-years, and the expansion showed no signs of stopping. At this moment, Qin Hao also felt that the observable law fluctuations became clearer, and their range wider, quickly exceeding tens of millions of light-years, then hundreds of millions of light-years. At the same time, Qin Hao also felt the ability to control time and space granted to Universe Lords by the primordial universe. The surrounding time and space at this moment seemed to be under his control. Moreover, this was different from a secret technique. It felt like an instinct. Qin Hao couldn't help but pause his law comprehension. Following his instinct, he activated control over time and space. The surrounding time and space at this moment seemed to be frozen, and he could freely manipulate the changes in time and space. With a thought, time began to flow backward, and the surroundings started to change, as if everything was regressing. Finally, when time reached the moment of the primal universe's birth, the regression of time gradually slowed. Qin Hao watched the formation and evolution of the primal universe, and then time began to flow forward again, returning to normal. This control over time and space is indeed miraculous. Calling it an authority granted to a Universe Lord, it's more like a direction for a Universe Lord to advance. However, most Universe Lords primarily use control over time and space for resurrecting the dead and for combat applications. Their true research isn't very deep. After experiencing the sensation of controlling time and space, Qin Hao couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Indeed, what is easily obtained is often not easily controlled. Control over time and space is like this. With this almost instinctive skill, Qin Hao could clearly perceive the application of the time law and space law, and the application of the time-space fusion laws. This is more like a path given by the primordial universe to Universe Lords, a path leading to the universe strongest. Although difficult, it is clearer and the purest path of time-space fusion. However, what it provides is a result, which is too complex and difficult to understand for most Universe Lords. It's like various human technologies. Ordinary people can use them, but it's extremely difficult for them to create them. Chapter 327, Return to the Star Palace. While Qin Hao was sensing the changes within himself, his divine body continued to expand, reaching 10 million kilometers, 20 million kilometers, 30 million kilometers, 40 million kilometers, 50 million kilometers, with no sign of slowing down. His divine body quickly surpassed 90 million kilometers before gradually slowing its expansion. 91 million kilometers, 92 million kilometers. Upon becoming a Universe Lord, one's divine body can rapidly change in size, instantly reaching millions or even tens of millions of kilometers. But the true, original size of the divine body is still very limited. Even at the perfect life level, the divine body is less than 100,000 kilometers in size. Qin Hao's current divine body size was its most authentic, or rather, its primal state. Soon, his divine body stopped at 99.99 million kilometers, just 10,000 kilometers short of the 100 million kilometer limit for the second layer 60,000-fold gene level. As his divine body reached its limit, Qin Hao also felt immense changes. He even felt that if he wished, he could directly transform his god kingdom into a small universe at any time, becoming a true god, and even among true gods, he would absolutely not be a weakling. The third layer 90,000-fold god power route could already rival an eternal true body. Now, if he were to break through to true god, even if he couldn't rival a void true god, he would at least be at the level of a 10th order true god. However, Qin Hao did not choose to break through. For him, the god power route still had a long way to go. The third layer, or even 100,000-fold, was not impossible. Moreover, he still had significant room for growth in the law route, and had not yet reached the point where he needed to break through to true god. Becoming a true god was a crucial step in Qin Hao's plan, not just for increasing his strength, but also for laying the foundation to become a primordial chaos master and even a god king in the future. As Qin Hao's divine body reached its limit, the transformation of his god kingdom and divine power gradually concluded, and the 10-light-year spanning origin ocean above began to dissipate. This breakthrough did not trigger the descent of the original universe will, nor did it even draw its attention. Qin Hao was not overly surprised, as after his previous breakthrough, he had already gained a tag with the original universe will, and there was no longer a need for it to pay attention to his breakthroughs. Having completed the breakthrough, Qin Hao did not leave immediately. Instead, he remained in place to organize the strength transformation brought by this breakthrough and to sense the changes before and after the breakthrough. The time-space fusion laws was suddenly pushed to the 7th stage. To fully unleash its power, he would need to create new secret techniques. Other fusion laws also required further cultivation and deduction, none of which could be completed in a short period of time. However, the fusion laws of the 8 lower laws and the higher laws were all completed. He could refine the inheritance he left before leaving Primordial Chaos City. At the same time, the will's secret technique could also be refined. The Destroyer's will explosion gave Qin Hao a deeper understanding and comprehension of Beast God Will. Building on this, he could further enhance his will's secret technique. Even if it couldn't reach the level of Beast God Will, the strength of top-tier universe overlords, with the enhancement of will, would increase again, possibly even breaking through to the level of a universe lord. 10 years passed in a flash. Qin Hao opened his eyes, divine light flickering within them before quickly receding, and his entire being returned to a plain and unadorned state. At the same time, his divine body began to shrink rapidly. The 99.99 million kilometer divine body almost instantly transformed into the height of a normal earthling. As he completed the transformation, Qin Hao directly teleported back to Primordial Chaos City, arriving in the Chaos Ruins where Primordial Chaos City Lord resided. Teacher, although he had broken through to become a universe lord, and his strength was already comparable to Primordial Chaos City Lord, Qin Hao still held his teacher in great respect. The might of your breakthrough is unique among our human race, and even within the primordial universe. Your current strength should already be no less than mine, Primordial Chaos City Lord said with a tone of more emotion. As the killing avatar of Primordial Chaos City Lord, such emotions typically wouldn't arise, but witnessing Qin Hao's entire breakthrough process and the rise of an unprecedented universe lord, Primordial Chaos City Lord couldn't help but feel emotional. I'm still far from teacher. The creation of a 6th-order universe master secret technique will still take a long time to complete, Qin Hao said humbly. His immense strength did not make him arrogant. Instead, it made him more aware of the vastness of this world. The primordial universe is only an extremely tiny part. The power of a universe lord might be considered strong in the primordial universe, but on a larger platform, a universe lord is merely a starting point. After a brief exchange, Qin Hao began to refine the 3 inheritance steels of Law of Light, Wind Time, and Law of Thunder directly within Primordial Chaos City Lord's Chaos Ruins. With the complete integration of the Time Law, the final step for these 3 fusion laws was quickly completed. Now, under Qin Hao's re-refinement, the secret texts and carvings on the three steels gradually became perfect. After becoming a universe lord, re-refining them was even simpler than the initial refinement or the refinement during his venerable stage. In just 3 days, Qin Hao had completed the refinement of all three steels. Light swirled around the three steels, and their connection to the primal universe became even tighter. The law's secret texts and carvings continuously emitted strange light, as if they were about to break free from the steels and fly out at any moment. Finally, after handing over the further refined Will's secret technique to Primordial Chaos City Lord, Qin Hao directly used God Kingdom teleportation to leave Primordial Chaos City and return to the Star Palace. Within the Star Palace main hall, a wave of divine power rippled, and Qin Hao's figure appeared on the throne. He scanned the Star Palace. It was almost empty. All the servants had been dispatched during the operations against the monster race, automaton race, and insect race, leaving only those enslaved in the ancestral god tomb. In the Sun God Temple, Rokas was still immersed in cultivation, with the auras of Law of Fire and Law of Light intertwining around him. The fusion of these two laws had made significant progress compared to when he first started. However, the difficulty of fusion laws was no less than comprehending higher laws. Even for a genius like Rokas, his comprehension speed was still very limited. It was only in a place like the Sun God Temple that he could quickly get started, but he was still far from true fusion. Ignoring other changes, Qin Hao mobilized the 365 star gods within his 365 god kingdoms, and then rays of light shot out from Qin Hao's body. The 365 star gods, each carrying their respective god kingdoms, detached from Qin Hao's body and entered their respective temples within the Star Palace. Chapter 328, The Path of Life. Chapter 328, Way of Life. The breakthrough in cultivation did not significantly impact Qin Hao's life. After returning to the Star Palace, the biggest change was that the proportion of time spent on cultivation increased. Having fully comprehended the time law, many fusion laws gained further room for improvement. Qin Hao also began a new round of transformation, with various fusion laws constantly arising in his mind and being calculated in his sea of consciousness. However, the most important comprehension was the 8 tribulation lifeform, which Qin Hao obtained as a reward for becoming a universe lord. The 8 tribulation lifeform is not just a cultivation technique, it is a complete inheritance. Even a simple introduction reveals the uniqueness of this inheritance. The first tribulation of the 8 tribulation lifeform requires cultivating the life spirituality, source of life, and life body lineages separately. Only after all 3 lineages are perfected can one proceed to cultivate the first tribulation. The difficulty of cultivation is immense. Once the first tribulation of the 8 tribulation lifeform is mastered, every bit of one's power will contain consciousness, allowing for easy creation of avatars. One's body will be like a vast world, possessing boundless strength and being unshakable. Furthermore, one's life force will be inexhaustible. Even the visible portion of this inheritance extends to the God-King level. Qin Hao only saw the cultivation method for the life spirituality lineage, with its various applications, secret techniques, and profound mysteries. Even as a universe lord who has insight into many laws, he could only understand a very small part of it. Qin Hao even sensed the subtle aura he had detected within the Yan God clan, but the aura within the 8 tribulation lifeform was even more obscure. Although he was unsure of the origin of this inheritance, Qin Hao speculated that even on the origin continent, it should be a relatively profound inheritance. An inheritance reaching the God-King level, or even higher, was still too distant for the current Qin Hao. At this stage, for Qin Hao, the most important aspects were still law cultivation and the God power root. Completing these 2 foundations was fundamental. After all, while the path of a God King is important, it is built upon these foundations. The comprehension of the Great Tao is also built upon the cultivation of laws. Furthermore, Qin Hao's current will strength already surpassed that of a universe lord, and it was extremely high even among true gods, even approaching the level of a void true god. However, compared to the vast inheritance, it was still very small. Without sufficient will strength and power, the inheritance would not be a good medicine for him, but rather a poison. Collecting his thoughts, Qin Hao shifted his attention away from the 8 tribulation life form. As Qin Hao withdrew the power of his soul from its exploration, the spiritual light of the 8 tribulation life form began to shoot towards the depths of his sea of consciousness, as if something was attracting it. Seeing this phenomenon, Qin Hao followed the spiritual light, passing through the visualized celestial stars and entering the core of the grand formation. Before a giant painting, the spiritual light transformed from the 8 tribulation life form gradually stopped, landing in front of the painting, flickering continuously, like a devout believer. Observing this phenomenon, Qin Hao's heart stirred. The painting before him was the foundation of Qin Hao's will and soul cultivation, as well as the source of his inspiration. The painting formed by the Nuwa diagram visualization technique. Qin Hao had observed the Nuwa divine image on the painting countless times, but his greatest gains were in the progress of the visualization method itself. As for the other obscure auras, they were beyond Qin Hao's comprehension. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to infinite novel audiobooks. Now, seeing the actions of the light spot transformed from the 8 tribulation lifeform inheritance, Qin Hao's mind began to race. The legends of Nuwa are countless. Saint, goddess, molding humans from clay, mending the heavens, and so on, all strongly connected to way of life. It could be said that Nuwa herself is synonymous with way of life, bestowing life upon earth and upon heaven and earth. In the entire great world, no one should be able to rival Nuwa's comprehension of way of life. At the same time, within Qin Hao's divine body, a drop of light flickered, detaching from the divine body and entering his sea of consciousness. A teardrop shimmering with starlight quickly appeared on the Nuwa diagram visualization technique before Qin Hao's eyes, merging into the drawing. A hazy aura instantly permeated the entire image. At this moment, the entire image began to change. The colors became vibrant, and the obscure aura became active. Qin Hao felt as if a cool breeze had swept through his entire sea of consciousness, and he felt as if he had awakened from a deep slumber. Even the 365 stars and star gods visualized in his sea of consciousness became clearer. Lines of laws began to intertwine before his eyes, constantly merging, constantly colliding, gradually forming streaks of misty light that enveloped the image. And the light transformed from the 8 tribulation lifeform, nurtured by this aura, also began to become clearer, even seemingly evolving autonomously, undergoing a transformation, though the process was very slow. Watching everything unfolding before him, Qin Hao immersed himself in these changes. Although there were many things he still couldn't understand, the faint aura and fluctuations of life made Qin Hao feel that his soul was also beginning to change under this aura and fluctuation. Way of life! Qin Hao sensed the changes and gained a clearer understanding of everything before him. The star tears, the culmination of the life god king's lifelong comprehension and cultivation. Nuwa, the sovereign of way of life. The 8 tribulation lifeform, the inheritance of way of life. 3 different interpretations and collisions of way of life from different worlds were also evolving into different ways of life. It's just a pity that the meteor tears has essentially disappeared. However, except for when he was on Earth, the buffs the meteor tears brought to Qin Hao were also weakening. As his strength increased, Qin Hao rarely fell into a disadvantage in battles. Now, transforming into nourishment for the Nuwa visualization diagram and evolving way of life in his sea of consciousness, it could be considered paving a path for Qin Hao's future cultivation. Although Qin Hao might not necessarily focus on way of life in the future, comprehending more great Taos from the understanding and evolution of way of life is equally important to Qin Hao. Even if he wants to create and walk his own great Tao, drawing upon past references and understandings is indispensable. Although I still can't comprehend way of life, Just a fleeting glimpse has made the future cultivation direction of the Crimson Bright Nine Heavens diagram much clearer, Qin Hao said with emotion as he withdrew from his sea of consciousness. Since the last cultivation of the Crimson Bright Nine Heavens diagram, Qin Hao had already fallen into a bottleneck. Even though his gene level improved when he broke through to become a universe lord, the Crimson Bright Nine Heavens diagram had not progressed. The reason for this was insufficient comprehension of himself, genes, and life. Behind every transformation of the Crimson Bright Nine Heavens diagram lay a sublimation of life, which was even more complex than it appeared on the surface. In the early stages, one only needed to follow the cultivation method, but in the later stages, every advancement required a clearer understanding of the essence of cultivation. Chapter 329, The King of Ganwu Comes to Visit. On the edge of the Milky Way galaxy, a spaceship emerged from the dark universe, entered the Milky Way galaxy, then re-entered the dark universe and began to travel at high speed. "This is such a hassle. I have to stop just to go home," Qin Ying pouted and complained inside the spaceship. Originally, when entering the Milky Way galaxy, there would basically be no obstacles, and one could directly pilot a spaceship to Earth. However, ever since Qin Hao made the Milky Way galaxy his permanent residence, all spaceships are forced to exit the dark universe before entering the Milky Way galaxy, and only after entering the Milky Way galaxy can they re-enter the dark universe. On one hand, this is to guard against the entry of foreign races, and on the other hand, it is to reduce unnecessary personnel from entering the Milky Way galaxy at will. After all, Qin Hao is now a universe lord, and the area he is stationed in is a very important area for the Virtual Universe Corporation, or the human race. Now, apart from the human race on the life planets within the Milky Way galaxy, personnel from other star regions need to report to enter. Your brother's status is different now. The Virtual Universe Corporation and the entire human race must treat him with caution, Gan Wu Country Lord said solemnly. Although he was Qin Huaiying's teacher and had a certain friendship with Qin Hao, he could not relax in the slightest. "No matter how different, he's still my brother," Qin Ying said proudly. She also knew that her brother's status had changed. Suddenly, a security team appeared around her, along with a large amount of resources, and even her training was stopped. All of this was brought about by her brother. Although she was not yet clear about the extent of her brother's strength, she gradually gained some understanding from her teacher's respect for her brother. Her teacher, the Ganwu Universe Country Lord, an ancient venerable level powerhouse, held a considerable position even within the Virtual Universe Corporation. However, when facing her brother now, his attitude had become somewhat cautious. Among the powerhouses she had come into contact with, the Gan Wu Country Lord's level was already the highest. Beyond that, it was no longer within the reach of her cultivation and level. Looking at his disciple, the Gan Wu Country Lord couldn't help but feel a little emotional. When he accepted Qin Ying as his disciple, on one hand, Qin Hao's talent and strength made him have to pay serious attention, wanting to use this to draw closer. On the other hand, Qin Huaiying's talent was indeed good, ranking in the upper middle among his many disciples. However, he never expected Qin Hao's growth to be so rapid, becoming a universe lord-level powerhouse in a short period, and his status within the human race rapidly soared. Consequently, Qin Huaiying's identity also rapidly soared. However, what was quite good was that even though her status had changed, his disciple's character had not changed, nor had she become inflated because of it. Instead, she became more serious in her cultivation, and the speed of her strength improvement also increased significantly. Now, among world lords, she already had considerable strength. The spaceship continued to travel, and its speed began to decrease as it entered the center of the Milky Way galaxy, returning to the primordial universe. After traveling for some time in the primordial universe, a massive complex of palaces appeared before their eyes. "Wow, is this brother's palace? It's really big. He built such a huge palace and didn't even notify me, making me only find out now," Qin Ying said, walking towards the cabin door. She stepped into the universe, looking at the palace before her, her eyes filled with shock. Since Qin Hao created the Star Palace, each palace has been continuously upgraded. From being a heavy treasure at its peak at the very beginning, to now, each palace has reached the level of a supreme heavy treasure, and the central main hall has even reached the level of a top-tier supreme heavy treasure. All the palaces in the entire palace complex are connected, forming a massive formation that envelops hundreds of millions of miles around the palace. After Qin Ying and the others entered the area covered by the palace complex, they had already been discovered. When Qin Ying and the Gan Wu country lord stepped out of the spaceship, a figure emerged from the palace complex in the distance, then instantly teleported to appear before them. Demon Clan! The Gan Wu country lord instantly recognized the massive figure that appeared as a Demon Clan member, and he couldn't help but feel a little wary. After all, most foreign races appearing in the human race territory were for destruction, and the aura of the newcomer was also very strong, having reached the venerable level. Greetings, Princess Qin Wying, Gan Wu country lord. My master is already waiting in the main hall. Please follow me. Saying this, the demon race venerable led Qin Ying and the Gan Wu country lord to the front of the palace complex. With a wave of his hand, a huge archway appeared in the protective shield outside the palace complex. Beyond the archway was a long staircase leading directly to the core of the palace complex. As they proceeded, Qin Ying and the Gan Wu country lord continuously observed each palace. Although Qin Ying did not know the function of these palaces, the rich cosmic energy and clear laws within the palace complex, and even the profound aura emanating from each palace, were evident. Compared to Qin Wying, the Gan Wu country lord had much greater knowledge. The laws condensed in each palace and the constantly changing law auras made him feel incredibly profound. Each of these divine halls contained a legacy no less inferior to a chaos stele, and even more complete. Thinking of the 9 legacy stone tablets Qin Hao left in Primordial Chaos City, which represented the paths of the 9 fusion laws, they were simply insignificant compared to what was within this star palace. Furthermore, within each star palace, he could faintly feel a massive aura that made him feel startled. How many powerhouses are hidden within this star palace? The Gan Wu country lord sighed inwardly. The one who just greeted them was already venerable level, and he was a demon clan member, clearly a demon clan member enslaved by Qin Hao. Upon entering the Star Palace, there were still so many powerful auras. How many powerhouses had gathered here? The Gan Wu country lord continuously calculated and observed in his mind. Qin Ying was much more relaxed, constantly looking at the various palaces and exotic flowers and plants within the Star Palace. When she saw something she liked, she did not hesitate at all, directly picking it or putting it directly into her own world. Seeing this situation, the leading demon race venerable did not stop her. They were very clear about Qin Wying's identity. As the master's biological sister, taking some things from the Star Palace was not a problem at all. Moreover, everything in the Star Palace was under the master's control, and there were also certain restrictions. Now, since these restrictions had no reaction, it meant that their master had tacitly approved this behavior. Chapter 330, Seeking Refuge. Chapter 330, Seeking Refuge. So troublesome. In the Star Palace main hall, Qin Hao looked at Qin Wying, who was constantly picking flowers and plants along the way, and couldn't help but feel a bit speechless. He wasn't blaming his younger sister, but rather, after several millennia, she was still so childish. However, his heart was filled more with emotion. In a few thousand years, everything seemed to have changed, yet also seemed to have remained the same. He still remembered when he first became a martial artist. His younger sister was just a child. In a blink of an eye, 10,000 years had passed. His strength was no longer what it once was, and the status of his family was also no longer what it once was. For his younger sister to still possess such childlike innocence, everything he had done was worth it. Furthermore, most of the various flowers and plants in the Star Palace were collected by Qin Hao from the universe. Although many were rare species, most were relatively common. They had merely mutated and become different from their original species due to the rich cosmic energy and laws within the Star Palace. Stepping over the long staircase, Qin Ying and Gan Wu country lord quickly arrived at the central main hall, led by the demon race venerable. "The master is in the hall, please enter, both of you." Saying this, the demon race venerable respectfully bowed towards the main hall, then walked down the stairs, returning to his position. Qin Ying and Gan Wu country lord continued forward, entering the grand hall. Upon entering the hall, the rich cosmic energy and even clearer laws immediately immersed Qin Ying and Gan Wu country lord. As the core of the entire palace complex, the cosmic energy in the Star Palace main hall was so dense that it had materialized, yet it was constrained by a peculiar power, preventing any dissipation. The clarity of the laws was also far beyond the outer areas, reaching more than 1,000 times that of the normal primordial universe, even allowing one to clearly see the operational roots of the laws. Qin Ying quickly became immersed. As a world lord, she was most sensitive to laws, and seeing the clear laws around her, she couldn't help but enter a state of cultivation. Gan Wu country lord fared a bit better, quickly awakening from his immersion. He looked towards Qin Hao's position in the center of the hall, stepped forward, and came to the foot of the stone steps, bowing respectfully. "Greetings, Palace Lord." Compared to the last time he met Qin Hao, this time Qin Hao brought him even greater shock. The faint aura emanating from him, the power he exuded casually, and the laws enveloping him. Every detail declared the strength of the person before him, who was countless times stronger than when he last saw him. He was even much stronger than most of the universe lords he had encountered. One must know that as a seasoned expert, Gan Wu country lord had basically met all the human universe lords. Whether in reality or in the virtual universe, he had encountered these powerhouses. However, compared to Qin Hao before him, only a handful of individuals could rival him. "Gan Wu, there's no need for such formality." As he spoke, a powerful energy directly stopped Gan Wu country lord, who was in the midst of bowing. "You and I are old acquaintances, and what's more, my younger sister is your disciple, so let's not bother with these formalities." As he spoke, a huge throne appeared beside Gan Wu country lord, and Qin Hao gestured for Gan Wu country lord to sit down. Although Qin Hao spoke this way and was very polite to Gan Wu country lord, Gan Wu country lord still sat down cautiously. As Qin Huang's teacher, he also knew Qin Hao's temperament. The two had met several times and communicated well, but respect for the strong was essential. Their relationship was neither too close nor too distant. One careless move could cause an impact. After sitting down, the two began to converse. Besides insights into laws, most of the conversation revolved around Qin Huang. Qin Hao was very concerned about Qin Huang's cultivation, experiences, and some of her adventures. While he had always paid attention, it had been relatively limited, and he knew only some of her experiences. As for cultivation, Gan Wu country lord, as her teacher, knew much more. The content of their discussion, centered around Qin Huang, quickly expanded, and the scope of their conversation gradually became broader. "Brother teacher, what are you talking about? You've been chatting for so long and didn't even call me first." Qin Huang's voice came, and she quickly walked over, her tone carrying a hint of resentment. "All right, sit down first." As he spoke, another seat appeared in the main hall, though this seat was much simpler than the other two. Although Qin Hao doted on his younger sister, he couldn't be too indulgent. "I was discussing your cultivation issues with your teacher. For the next period, you and your teacher will cultivate here with me," Qin Hao said. The cultivation environment in the Star Palace was now considered top tier in the entire universe. The rich cosmic energy, clear laws, plus the fusion laws inheritances contained within each palace and the corresponding laws condensed within them, even the primordial chaos city of the Virtual Universe Corporation would fall short. However, the space within the Star Palace was limited after all. Qin Hao could only allow some of his subordinates and close associates to cultivate within it. Currently, only his disciple Rokas and numerous star gods were cultivating there. Even the various alien races he had enslaved still cultivated in the original Purple Cloud Palace. Jinhao had also improved many of the inheritances within the Purple Cloud Palace, and the path of fusion laws had been completely perfected, fully sufficient for his enslaved beings to comprehend and cultivate. Jinhao had originally wanted to bring his parents into the Star Palace to cultivate, but their enthusiasm for cultivation was not high. Coupled with the profound content involved in the Star Palace itself, Qin Hao did not force them. "Thank you, Palace Lord." Upon hearing this, Ganwu Country Lord couldn't help but stand up again. Since entering the Star Palace, he had already sensed the uniqueness of this palace complex. The law auras rising from each palace, the interwoven law patterns, and Qin Hao's perfected 9 inheritances in Primordial Chaos City. He knew that this palace complex was not only a powerful supreme treasure, but also a rare place for cultivation. For him, whose strength had not improved for countless years, perhaps here his strength could be further enhanced, even touching the level of a universe overlord. Although from a high-level exalt to a universe overlord was just a thin line, and in terms of major realms, they were at the same level, their strength and the importance placed on them by their race were completely different. Universe exalts were the backbone of a race, while universe overlords were the trump cards of a race, the strongest combat power that could be resurrected. If any fallen universe overlord had a chance to be resurrected, the race would choose to spend resources to prioritize their resurrection. After all, powerful universe overlords could even rival some low-tier universe lords in strength, allowing them to fight without restraint, and their strategic significance far exceeded that of ordinary exalts. Chapter 330, One New Secret Techniques. Chapter 331, A New Secret Technique. Inside the Star Palace, Qin Hao directly arranged for Ganwu Country Lord to cultivate in the Ziwei Divine Palace. The laws corresponding to the Ziwei Divine Palace were inherently earth, space, and time, which perfectly aligned with Ganwu Country Lord's comprehension direction. Whether it was a further advancement in the earth-space laws or the time law, it would directly lead to a boost in his strength. As for Qin Wying, Qin Hao planned to directly arrange for her to enter the Taiyin Divine Palace. The 3 laws of wind, water, and space were sufficient for Qin Ying to comprehend and were the most suitable cultivation grounds for her at this stage. Coupled with the guidance of the Taiyin star god, her cultivation would progress much faster. However, before starting cultivation, Qin Hao still teleported directly back to Earth with Qin Wying. Since they had returned, it was essential to see their parents first. Especially since Qin Ying hadn't returned to Earth for several millennia. Although they often met in the virtual universe, reality was reality. After returning to Earth, there was another round of complaints, followed by their parents' warm greetings. Qin Hao and Qin Ying also began a period of leisurely bottleneck days on Earth. In the 5th year, Qin Hao brought Qin Ying back to the Star Palace to begin cultivation. However, Qin Hao left his divine power clone on Earth to accompany his parents. Returning to the Star Palace, Qin Hao directly sent Qin Ying to the Taiyin Divine Palace, while he returned to the main hall to begin his own cultivation. This cultivation session, in addition to further organizing the laws, was more about the creation of secret techniques. Currently, Qin Hao was already strong in terms of power and laws. What he lacked was the perfection of secret techniques. Many of his previous secret techniques now needed further enhancement to fully unleash their power and functions. After becoming a universe lord, the most important aspects for Qin Hao next were his corresponding strength and preparation for breaking through to true God and even higher realms in the future, which involved the path he would take. Strength involved laws and secret techniques. As for the growth path of true God and beyond, the layers involved were extremely complex. Firstly, the architecture of the small universe was key. Qin Hao had already accumulated considerable experience in this area, Whether it was the inheritances obtained through check-ins, the endowment of the primordial universe, or the comprehension of Array Dow 900 and the Zhu Tian star array. The content related to this aspect was not insignificant, and what Qin Hao needed to do was to use this content to build his own small universe structure. Secondly, there was the cultivation of the God Power root, which was the subsequent cultivation of the Crimson Bright Nine Heavens diagram. Qin Hao's current gene level was 45,000 times, and he needed to reach 100,000 times before becoming a true god, or even break the 100,000 times limit if possible. In this regard, Qin Hao already had some ideas, but it mostly required the accumulation of time. Finally, there was the cultivation of future laws. Until becoming a chaos master, the cultivation of laws was a necessary path. The comprehension of chaos law involved the fusion of the 10 great laws. Currently, Qin Hao's 5 elements laws and space law were already fusing. The time-space law had fused, and the wind-thunder-light-time law had also fused. What remained was to find the convergence point of the 10 great laws, which was the chaos law. Qin Hao still lacked a lot in this aspect, but he already had some plans. Now, any aspect of perfection required long-term accumulation, and Qin Hao would remain at the Universe Lord realm for a long time. However, while the realm could not be rushed, combat power could be continuously improved. No matter which fusion laws were cultivated, they could all boost Qin Hao's strength. Qin Hao, in the Divine Palace, was completely immersed in cultivation. The cultivation of various fusion laws was progressing simultaneously, and his mind was directly connected to the star gods in the 365 divine palaces, constantly absorbing their comprehension of the laws. Although these star gods were all conjured by Qin Hao, they had undergone significant changes during their growth. Especially after being influenced by the aura of way of life brought by the Nuwa diagram within his soul, Qin Hao's soul and the 365 star gods were also changing, becoming more sensitive to laws and even possessing a unique life aura. Qin Hao was happy to see this happen and was continuously observing the changes in these star gods, as they gradually transformed from products of condensed soul power and divine power into independent life forms. However, even if they transformed, these star gods would mostly exist like Qin Hao's divine power clones, possessing some consciousness, but still being fully controlled by Qin Hao. Furthermore, Qin Hao had already planned for this when he nurtured these star gods, but progress had been very slow. The separately opened world and the divine kingdom built around the sealing star had, to some extent, promoted the transformation of these star gods. These star gods were also the catalyst for Qin Hao to continuously accelerate the rapid comprehension of fusion laws. The comprehension direction of each star god was different, but their ultimate understanding would all become Qin Hao's comprehension. Moreover, with these star gods as the core, Qin Hao also planned to continuously accelerate the nurturing of star gods, from the 365 star gods of the Zhu Tian star array to 129,600. At the same time, the nurturing of these new star gods was also related to Qin Hao's plan for the next step in divine power transformation. Various fusion laws were constantly evolving, but the most important ones were wind time-space, earth time-space law, and other fusion laws that Qin Hao displayed as his main combat power. Qin Hao first began the creation of the time-space law secret technique. The time-space fusion laws had already reached their current peak when he broke through to Universe Lord. Further progress required long-term accumulation. Now, it was best to convert it into a secret technique that could unleash his current combat power most effectively. With a Universe Lord's control over time and space, coupled with Qin Hao's comprehension of the time-space fusion laws, Qin Hao progressed very smoothly in the creation of the secret technique. The purest application of the time-space law was time-space control, which was even more powerful than the control instinctively exhibited by a universe lord. Instantly controlling time and space within a light-year range, and in resonance with the primordial universe, it could even achieve the effect of the universe, strongest's words becoming law. Even a strong person of the sixth-order universe master, if they wanted to escape from this control, would have to pay a certain price. A means to trap enemies was the time-space corridor. Using the time-space corridor in the ancestral god secret realm as a prototype, and integrating Qin Hao's comprehension of the time law, space law, and time-space law, a cyclical domain of time and space was formed. Those trapped within it would continuously repeat in the reincarnation of time and space. The defensive secret technique was the space-time anchor. By constructing an anchor point in specific time and space, it was impossible to break through time and space to reach the anchor point, thus making it impossible to attack Qin Hao. Even if he suffered any attack, his physical state would return to its peak at the time of the anchor, and even his divine power would quickly recover to its optimal state. It was not only a defensive secret technique, but also a recovery secret technique. With the completion of these secret techniques, Qin Hao also began the creation of the most important offensive secret technique. Chapter 332, Luo Feng escapes from the trap. Inside the Star Tower, Luo Feng's soul was on the verge of collapse. After thousands of years of life and death inheritance, Luo Feng's soul had always been in an extremely perilous state. Through repeated perseverance, Qin Hao's soul continuously grew stronger under pressure and underwent constant transformation and growth. Even the visualization method cultivation technique that Qin Hao had previously transmitted was gradually comprehended by him during this process. A giant golden beast god phantom had condensed in his soul, and his entire will had become even stronger. However, facing the life and death inheritance of the Star Tower, this was clearly not enough. The current transformation had not yet been fully completed. The last time Qin Hao received a message from Luo Feng was already close to his limit and had prepared for his demise. He not only sent a message to Qin Hao, but also sent a final message to his family. Even in such an extreme state, Luo Feng still persevered, relying on the obsession and will in his heart to support his soul's transformation. At this moment, even Lord Pewdie was filled with shock. With his methods as a universe lord, he was very clear about the changes in Luo Feng's soul and knew that Luo Feng had long reached his limit. However, even in an extreme state, Luo Feng still persevered. The previous candidates for the Star Tower had also undergone the same test, but the longest only lasted 3,300 years. After their souls reached their limit, they directly collapsed, their souls dissipated, and they died. Source Star King, who first received the inheritance from Qin Hao, perished in this inheritance. The inheritance target of the Star Tower has always been the Earth lineage. This generation is Earth, the last time was Source Star, and there were also places like the Mountain Sea Realm, etc. Although the names were different, they were all lives nurtured from the same life planet. It was another experiment by Zhu Shank after the failure of the Yan God clan, abandoning the enhancement of the genetic level and focusing on a lineage cultivated at the soul and will level. Although the bloodline level was low, and cultivation was very slow in the early stages, the talent in temperament and will allowed for an explosive growth in potential and cultivation speed in the later stages after overcoming the initial period. In the original work, besides Luo Feng, Hong became a true god, and Thunder God became a universe lord. A single planet produced many top-tier powerhouses, which was almost unheard of in the primordial universe. Luo Feng's time receiving the inheritance had far exceeded previous records, and his soul's growth rate was also very rapid. Especially after obtaining Qin Hao's visualization method, Luo Feng also began cultivating the visualization method, with the golden beast god as his object of visualization. Qin Hao himself walked the beast god path and possessed a certain talent, along with the golden horned beast and the beast god statue. In the process of visualizing the golden beast god, his progress was also very rapid, quickly achieving mastery. Subsequently, his perception of the law of metal and space law became clearer, and even their fusion became smoother. After the golden beast god formed, Liu Feng's soul transformation speed further accelerated. At the same time, the inheritance speed also accelerated. By now, Liu Feng's inheritance had reached the final stage. As long as he completed the nirvana rebirth of his soul, then Liu Feng would have passed the most dangerous stage. However, the darkness before dawn is often the hardest to overcome. His soul reached its limit, teetering on the brink of collapse, even unable to think. The golden beast god he had visualized was also very weak at this time, relying entirely on the obsession deep within his soul to desperately hold on. Hu tilde tilde, Liu Feng's body trembled, and he unconsciously made sounds, blood continuously flowing. He was like a fish on land about to die. He was struggling, unwilling to die like this, even knowing that he would be revived by revering time and space in the future. Almost all of Liu Feng's actions were unconscious, genuine reactions, struggles on the brink of death. Even when facing an impossible success, he still desperately accelerated, constantly approaching the finish line. As the protagonist, Liu Feng had a certain protagonist's halo, but more of it was his own struggle. Finally, on the verge of collapse, Liu Feng's soul entered a peculiar state, and the golden beast god deep within his sea of consciousness began to condense more realistically. The entire star tower also began to shake, as Liu Feng completed his recognition of the star tower as his master. When Liu Feng completed his recognition of the star tower as his master, Qin Hao also received news from Zhuo Shank and felt relieved. At this moment, Qin Hao also entered a critical period. The creation of the time-space secret technique entered its final stage. Compared to other secret techniques, Qin Hao spent more effort on the creation of the time-space fusion laws attack secret technique. To integrate the power, mystery, and strangeness of the space-time law into the attack, Qin Hao needed a clearer analysis of the space-time law he had already mastered. The space-time law itself is a very special law, the fusion of two higher laws, and to a certain extent, it is the prototype of the 10 great laws fusion. After all, the 8 lower laws beneath them are inherently inextricably linked to the higher laws. Even in later stages of cultivation, one can reach the eternal true body or even stronger levels solely with the space-time law, as the path of time-space is a top-tier existence in any world or universe. However, the gap between the space-time law and the path of time-space is vast. One is like 1 + 1 = 2 in elementary school, while the path of time-space is about proving why 1 + 1 = 2. One is merely a phenomenon, the other is the essence, and can even be said to involve the fundamental principles of the universe and the world. Furthermore, the concepts of universe and world here are far from the primordial universe and the world-lord world. These are still too distant for Qin Hao at present. The most important thing is to maximize and fully utilize the power of the time-space fusion laws. Time law, space law, and time-space fusion laws were continuously sketched and transformed at Qin Hao's fingertips, and the surrounding time and space were greatly affected. Qin Hao observed every change in the law, and his soul continuously deduced the application and practice of the space-time law. With Qin Hao's current strength, the destruction caused by the practice and application of the secret technique was far beyond imagination. The current area was a space constructed within the Star Palace Group's grand array. With the enhancement of the Star Palace and the Zhutian Star Array, Qin Hao could be a little more unrestrained when experimenting with the secret technique. If it were in the primordial universe, Qin Hao's few experiments would directly destroy the entire Milky Way galaxy. Divine power was mobilized, and the power of the space-time law, time law, and space law rapidly merged in the void with the divine power. Soon, a gigantic Teiji diagram formed. Within the Teiji diagram, the yin and yang fish continuously merged and collided, constantly annihilating all surrounding energy. After the first Teiji diagram stabilized, another Teiji diagram formed, completely opposite to the first. After the two Teiji diagrams formed, Qin controlled them to merge in the void. The two Teiji diagrams, with the integration of Qin divine power, began to transform rapidly, forming a massive millstone-like existence. Chapter 333, The Secret Method of the Sixth-Level Lord of the Universe. In the void, two grinding discs formed by Tai-Kai diagrams rotated continuously, and everything around them seemed to be pulled by a huge force, constantly being absorbed into the grinding discs as they rotated. Under the powerful force of the grinding discs, everything was directly ground into primal energy. Qin casually took out a heavy treasure and threw it directly into the grinding disc. This heavy treasure was also casually refined by Qin when he was refining artifacts, but it had already reached the level of a peak-heavy treasure, which ordinary powerhouses could not destroy. However, the moment it entered the grinding disc, the time and space around the heavy treasure instantly changed. The heavy treasure began to distort from inside out, and as the grinding disc rotated, cracks began to appear on the heavy treasure. Then it directly disintegrated, gradually turning into particles, and finally was completely transformed into streams of energy, which were once again absorbed by the Tai-Kai diagrams above and below the grinding disc, transforming into the power of the Tai-Kai diagrams, allowing the range of the Tai-Kai diagrams to expand once again. Qin nodded with satisfaction at this performance. In the primordial universe, and even the universe sea and origin continent, the composition of all things is actually not much different. They are all evolved from the 10 great laws. Whether it is tangible matter or various relatively ethereal divine power and world power, their most fundamental essence is the same. It's just that changes occurred during the evolution process. Chaos law became the 10 great laws, and the 10 great laws were further divided into higher laws and lower law. If one traces back to the source, the origin is at the same point. When Qin was creating the time-space fusion law's secret technique, he was also thinking about this problem. Time law and space law, as higher laws, are essentially a point where all energy traces back upwards. Whether it is the 5 elements laws of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, or wind, light, thunder, can they all eventually merge into the higher laws when traced back to their source? In the fusion of the 5 elements laws and the wind, thunder, and light law, Qin also felt the difference. The more they fused, the lower the affinity and difficulty of fusion between the laws and the higher laws, constantly tracing back towards one direction. Perhaps the fusion of the 5 elements laws with space law is the truly complete space law, or the space-time origin. Is the complete fusion of wind, light, thunder, and time law the complete time law, or the time-space origin? At that stage, which is the realm of an eternal true God, the time-space origin and space-time origin completely merge to form chaos law, becoming the chaos master. These are still some distance away for Qin but they have given Qin a lot of inspiration in the application of the space-time law. Using the Tai-Kai diagram model, he applied time law, space law, and time-space fusion laws into it, constructing a stable Tai-Kai diagram, and using the power of the 2 opposing Tai-Kai diagrams to integrate time law, space law, and time-space fusion laws into the secret technique. Under the activation of the secret technique, the great grinding disk formed by time-space energy mobilized the power of time law and space law, augmenting the time-space fusion laws and the universe lord's instinctive control over time and space, directly destroying all energy and matter drawn into it at the fundamental level, erasing its existence in both space and time dimensions, and restoring everything to its most primitive energy. Even a heavy treasure had no resistance within it. A universe exalt or universe overlord entering, it would be instantly annihilated by the time-space millstone. Even a universe lord below the 4th order would have no power to resist, and a 5th order or 6th order universe lord would need to resist with all their might to have a chance of survival. Now, the power of this secret technique has reached the level of a 6th order secret technique. If it devours enough energy, It can even threaten the existence of a true god. Thinking this, Qin Hao directly waved his hand, and the time-space millstone began to shrink continuously, flying into Qin Hao's hand. After this secret technique was formed, Qin Hao did not intend to dispel it. Instead, he prepared to continuously nourish this secret technique with his divine power, reaching the point where the secret technique and heavy treasure combine, forming a fixed secret technique that constantly grows. Furthermore, he continuously integrated his understanding of the space-time law into it, forming a secret technique that can grow, even reaching the time-space origin and the Tao of time and space in the future. As for the name of the secret technique, Qin Hao also decided to directly call it the time-space millstone. Although it was a bit straightforward and not so grand, naming was not something Qin Hao wanted to spend too much energy on. With the completion of the time-space fusion law's secret technique, Qin Hao's task of creating secret techniques was largely complete. Most of the other fusion law's secret techniques were created based on the space-time law and improved for practicality. The secret technique fusing wind law, time law, and space law is still fundamentally the space-time law, merely strengthening the application of wind law and the augmentation of its attributes on that basis. More often, it involved further modifications and improvements to existing secret techniques. Under such circumstances, the improvement of the secret techniques was still very rapid. Coupled with further understanding and deduction of the laws, the time spent was less than 1/3 of the time spent creating the space-time law secret technique. Subsequently, for other laws, it was more about the comprehension of the laws, and the creation of secret techniques was not carried out, but directly handed over to the various star gods. As the will and life aura of these star gods gradually perfected, in addition to the initially set law comprehension, they also began to have more autonomy. This allowed Qin Hao to better let go and directly hand over the comprehension of laws and the creation of some secret techniques to these star gods for perfection. What he had to do was merely push them forward in the process of perfecting the secret techniques and laws. Now, for Qin Hao, the most important things are the fusion of the 5 elements laws, the fusion of the wind, thunder, and light law, and the fusion of the space-time law. A further step would be the fusion of the 5 elements laws with space law, and the wind, thunder, and light law with time law. Besides the main body's cultivation, the 3 clones are also continuously delving deeper into the cultivation of law fusion. The first clone has already begun the fusion of the 5 elements laws and space law, and the next step is a further breakthrough in strength. After breaking through to become a universe exalt, the first clone will also possess strength comparable to Universe Lord. Furthermore, relying on the 5 elements laws and space law, coupled with his innate secret technique, the first clone, Kong Xuan, has already begun to create the 5 elements divine light secret technique, and it has already shown some effects. After becoming a universe exalt, with the secret technique perfected, his combat power will also be greatly enhanced. The second clone has been cultivating the space-time law. Both time law and space law have reached their limits, and the progress of the fusion laws is even stronger than that of the main body. Upon breaking through in strength, he will directly step into the realm of a universe lord. However, without the many opportunities that the main body has, he is still a bit short of a breakthrough opportunity. The third clone, the Destroyer. After leaving the monster race territory with Qin Hao, he has been cultivating in the Jianglan realm. The awakening of his destruction has made him even faster on the path of law cultivation, and the wind, thunder, and light law have begun to fuse with the time law. He has now also begun to work on breaking through the time law. After reaching the universe exalt realm, his strength will also see a new surge, and with the augmentation of his destruction will, it is possible for him to rival a third-order or even fourth-order universe lord. Chapter 334, Clone Breakthroughs. Qin Hao had always adopted a free-range approach to his clones. His first clone, Kong Xuan, obtained an opportunity and became a disciple of Ice Peak Lord. He began cultivating primarily with the water-space fusion laws. After entering Primordial Chaos City, he accelerated his comprehension of the 5 elements laws. Qin Hao paid very little attention to his subsequent cultivation, at most exchanging information with him periodically. The second clone and third clone were in a somewhat worse situation. After being conceived, Qin Hao found opportunities to send them wandering in the universe. Although they didn't have the guidance of powerful experts, Qin Hao himself could access many secret techniques from the Virtual Universe Corporation. Their cultivation was relatively smooth, but their resources were comparatively fewer. Some of Destroyer's actions and plundering were also for the sake of cultivating more quickly. Now that all three clones were on the verge of breaking through, Qin Hao was also prepared to set aside his own cultivation and assist his three clones. After all, with the aid of external forces like primordial violet Kai and enlightenment cushion, Qin Hao's cultivation speed far surpassed that of his three clones. Furthermore, having already broken through his own bottleneck, the sharing of experience would further shorten the time it took for his three clones to break through. Additionally, in the period that followed, the cultivation directions of the three clones and his main body would have more intersections. The paths they focused on and Qin Hao's overall strategic layout were all inseparable. This was also the reason why the three clones had to accelerate their breakthroughs. At the same time, Qin Hao also had to guard his second clone and third clone. The commotion when they became exalts would certainly not be small. It would be fine if it didn't attract outside attention, but once discovered, they would definitely be targeted by those with ulterior motives. As for his first clone, Ice Peak Lord had already prepared for his breakthrough. He even planned to introduce Kong Xuan to the human race's highest council after Kong Xuan's breakthrough. He was also stimulated by Primordial Chaos City Lord. After Qin Hao's breakthrough, both Primordial Chaos City Lord and Darkness Lord's disciples had become Universe Lords. Among the three sworn brothers, only his disciple was slightly inferior. Originally, with Primordial Chaos City Lord also having one, he hadn't felt it. Now, whenever the three of them conversed, their disciples became an inevitable topic. Although Ice Peak Lord was cold, each time, the stimulation still affected his emotions. Therefore, he was extremely concerned about Kong Xuan's breakthrough to Universe Exalt. He was very clear about the strength of this disciple of his. He was currently only undying, but his strength among exalts was also extremely formidable, reaching the level of a universe overlord. After all, the spatial fusion of the 5 elements laws and space law had been completed, and the 5 elements laws were also undergoing fusion. Furthermore, he had recently achieved entry-level comprehension of the fusion of the 5 elements laws and space law, which further enhanced Kong Xuan's strength. After becoming an exalt, Kong Xuan's strength would further increase, entering the realm of a universe lord. At that time, his own disciples would also be able to become one of the high-ranking members of the human race, like Yahoo Master and Star Palace Master, gaining recognition in terms of strength and status. After all, as a peak-level universe expert, his own progress in strength was becoming slower and more difficult, so much of his hope was placed on his disciples. Ice Peak Lord had never interfered with the path his disciple was currently taking, only providing answers to questions, guidance in cultivation, and allocation of resources. Compared to his other clones, and even his main body, Kong Xuan's life could be said to be the most comfortable. 100 years passed. Qin Hao's time shifted from creating secret techniques to comprehending laws and communicating with his 3 clones, pushing them towards breakthroughs in their cultivation. The first to enter a breakthrough state was his first clone, Kong Xuan. In a desolate area outside the Virtual Universe Company headquarters, Kong Xuan sat cross-legged in the starry sky. The surrounding area of several light years had been completely sealed off by Ice Peak Lord, preventing anyone from detecting or entering this desolate region. Kong Xuan's divine body was also fully unleashed. His colossal body, thousands of kilometers long, was rare even in the universe. Kong Xuan's gene level had now reached the perfect gene level, and based on his own condition, he had developed his own divine body amplitude secret technique. Kong Xuan's divine body was different from Qin Hao's. Before becoming undying, Kang Xuan had completed his comprehension of the 5 elements laws and had already begun law fusion. His strongest water-space fusion laws had already reached the exalt level at that time. When becoming undying, Kang Xuan, like Qin Hao, bravely attempted to draw upon the power of the 5 elements laws, ultimately succeeding in forging his current 5 elements divine body. It possessed all 5 elements and could simultaneously mobilize 5 types of divine power, forming the 5 elements divine light through fusion laws. However, at that time, the 5 elements divine light was merely for show, without much practical use, serving more as an amplification of attack power. With continued comprehension of the 5 elements laws and fusion laws, the 5 elements divine light was continuously perfected. Now, having completed his comprehension of the space law, his comprehension of the 5 elements laws individually with the space law would also quickly reach perfection, further enhancing the power of the 5 elements divine light. Coupled with the overall fusion of the 5 elements laws and space law, confronting a universe lord would not be a problem at all. In the starry sky, Kang Xuan's aura began to change. The fluctuations of the surrounding space law gradually became intense. The space that he previously couldn't control instantly reached perfection. Kang Xuan felt that at this moment, the surrounding space was completely under his control, and the connection between the 5 elements laws and space law became even tighter. As the space law broke through, the universe origin ocean descended, instantly covering an area of tens of millions of kilometers around him, and rapidly expanding to hundreds of millions of kilometers, billions of kilometers, tens of billions of kilometers, finally stopping at an area of 200 billion kilometers. Compared to Qin Hao, Kang Xuan's breakthrough caused significantly less commotion, but it was still far more powerful than that of many other experts in the universe, even reaching the level of a universe lord's breakthrough. The rapid descent of the divine power ocean and origin ocean, and the powerful divine power integrating into Kang Xuan's divine body and divine kingdom, caused Kang Xuan's entire body to undergo rapid changes. The quality of his divine power began to rapidly increase, and his divine kingdom was also continuously and quickly expanding. At the same time, a giant peacock began to condense behind Kang Xuan. This phantom peacock was over 1,000,000 kilometers tall. Each feather contained extremely powerful divine power, and the 5-colored tail feathers were white, green, black, red, and yellow, containing the 5 elements divine power. Simultaneously, there was also powerful space law energy around the tail feathers. Each sway of the feathers seemed to affect the surrounding space. The 5-colored tail feathers merged with the 5-colored divine power, transforming into 5-colored divine light that gradually integrated into Kang Xuan's body. With each ray of divine light that merged, Kang Xuan's body became more powerful, and even the speed at which he absorbed divine power continuously accelerated. Chapter 335 Luo, Feng's Return and Shock. Kang Xuan's entire body was enveloped in 5-colored light, and the enormous peacock phantom seemed to transform into a giant cocoon. The divine power from the origin ocean continuously flowed into Kang Xuan's body through the giant cocoon. During the cocooning process, the divine power also quietly underwent changes. The 5 types of divine power, under the 5 elements laws, began to show traces of fusion. A trace of fused divine power integrated into Kang Xuan's divine body, initiating a transformation of his divine body, starting from the most fundamental level and leading to the metamorphosis of the entire divine body. The body, originally formed at the perfect gene level, began to expand, breaking the limit of 10,081, and then rapidly increasing to 10,082. Subsequently, the speed of the breakthrough began to accelerate dramatically. 11,000, 12,000, 13,000. Kang Xuan's divine body also continuously expanded, rapidly reaching 10,000 kilometers, and continued to grow. The transformation only ceased when his body's gene level reached 20,000 times, and his divine body grew to 30,000 kilometers. The peacock phantom outside Kang Xuan's body began to rapidly contract, merging into Kong Xuan's body, leaving only 5 colored tail feathers wrapped around his body. In the starry sky ice peak, Lord watched the changes in Kong Xuan's body, and the light in his eyes grew brighter. Although he did not know the scene of Qin Hao's breakthrough at that time, the scene of his disciples' breakthrough, and the might emanating from his entire body had already reached the level of a second-tier universe lord, and were still continuously increasing. Furthermore, with the laws his disciple comprehended, he should be able to contend even against a typical third-tier universe lord. Kong Xuan's breakthrough quickly entered its final stage. The origin ocean gradually receded, and powerful divine power burst forth from Kong Xuan's divine body. 5-colored divine light swept out, and wherever it passed, space shattered inch by inch. All the stars and fragments within that space were drawn into the 5-colored divine light, transforming into void energy. Good, good, good. Ice Peak Lord teleported to Kong Xuan's side, and in his cold voice, one could hear excitement and joy. Although he was only a universe exalt, his disciple's strength had already reached the universe lord level, enough to stand as an equal with other universe lords of the human race. The human race gained another universe lord, and the Virtual Universe Corporation faction produced another universe lord, increasing their influence within the human race. Another divine palace rose atop Thunder Island, attracting the attention of many undying. However, the specific identity was not announced. This was Kong Xuan's choice. His strength and identity information were kept within a very small circle, similar to Darkness Lord, becoming a hidden power of the human race. Ice Peak Lord did not participate much in this. He knew his disciple's temperament, who was more focused on cultivation. From becoming his disciple, entering Primordial Chaos City, and even during various trials, he never displayed any arrogance. His heart was solely on cultivation, exploring the path of cultivation. Just like the path he chose now, the fusion of 5 elements laws and space law had actually already reached the introductory level. This was something Ice Peak Lord had not expected. Previously, he only knew that Kong Xuan was fusing the 5 elements laws. Although Kong Xuan's identity was hidden, it was not hidden from the higher-ups. Similar to Qin Hao, a giant axe meeting was convened to recognize Kong Xuan's identity and bestow upon him a top-tier true treasure. When Kong Xuan completed his breakthrough, Qin Hao's second clone also entered the final stage of his breakthrough. As a powerful life form conceived from the blood of Dijiang, an ancestor of time, his gene level had already reached the perfect gene level. Furthermore, relying on his own abilities, his gene level had already broken through to 29,999 times, just a hair's breadth away from completing the first stage of 30,000 times gene level. Moreover, with his powerful divine body talent, the second clone's physical strength far surpassed that of equally ranked strong individuals. By relying on his powerful body, he could directly rival a universe exalt. The reason for the delay in breakthrough was more due to the continuous fusion of spacetime law. Compared to Qin Hao's cultivation method, the second clone's cultivation from the very beginning involved spacetime law in parallel, and it was a continuous process of comprehension and fusion. The reason for choosing to break through now was primarily that the strength of his soul could no longer support the weight of the laws. The second clone's physical talent was extremely strong, but his soul talent was somewhat inferior, similar to the Yan God clan. This was very similar to the witch race, although the special nature of Earthlings' souls mitigated it considerably. However, even so, his current soul could no longer support the continued fusion of spacetime law, so he had no choice but to break through. While Qin Hao guarded the second clone during his breakthrough, within the human race, Liu Feng's return brought new shock. After completing the Star Tower's recognition, Liu Feng also retired from the outside territory battlefield and returned to Primordial Chaos City, and once again challenged the Heavenly Bridge. He directly passed through 20 levels and then entered the 21st level, where he persevered for a long time before being defeated. Another World Lord rank genius who passed the Heavenly Bridge's 20th level caused a stir within the human race. The Heavenly Bridge and Tangshan Mountain had always been benchmarks. Those world lords who passed were geniuses among geniuses, and also a certification for top human race geniuses. The most famous was Keti, who was constantly mentioned and could be said to be a symbolic figure of human race geniuses. It was only regrettable that he ultimately fell and could not be resurrected. The previous one was Qin Hao, thousands of years ago, a world lord rank who passed the Heavenly Bridge's 20th level and also passed the original Tangshan Mountain. Now, he has become a top-tier strong individual within the human race and has left behind many inheritances. 9 inheritances, reaching up to the universe overlord level, fully analyze the cultivation of fusion laws, opening a new path for the cultivation of human race powerhouses. Although it has only been a few thousand years, many powerhouses within the human race have already broken through, and some new universe exalts have appeared, thanks to these 9 inheritances. It was precisely because of this that many powerhouses also made some comparisons between Liu Feng and Qin Hao. Both originated from an aboriginal planet, and from the same planet were geniuses of the same genius battle, and are now both disciples of primordial Chaos City Lord. There were great expectations for Liu Feng's future achievements. Compared to others, Qin Hao focused his attention on Liu Feng's process of challenging the Heavenly Bridge. Within the virtual universe, the surrounding environment began to change, and a real-time image display showed Liu Feng's process of entering the 21st level of the Heavenly Bridge before Qin Hao. As a universe lord, and specifically a universe lord from the Virtual Universe Corporation faction, Qin Hao possessed these permissions. In the image, Liu Feng's beast god armor tightly clung to his entire body, and each strike contained a trace of beast god's essence. At this time, Liu Feng was like a miniature beast god, with law of metal and space law entwined around him, each strike containing a unique will. He has actually comprehended a trace of beast god will, and there's a unique soul aura. It seems the visualization method has reached the introductory level, and he's visualizing the golden beast god. As a universe lord, Qin Hao had already gained a detailed understanding of Liu Feng's strength from just the image. Although he did not pass the 21st level, Liu Feng's strength should have already reached the universe exalt level. Chapter 336, Farewell Luo Feng, and request don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to infinite novel audiobooks. While Liu Feng's stir spread among the human race, Qin Hao's second clone also entered its final stage. Unlike his main body, the second clone chose the time law as his breakthrough point to become a venerable. After fully comprehending the time law and reaching perfection, the ocean of origin descended above the second clone's head. The second clone's breakthrough was even more powerful than Kang Xuan's. His massive divine body covered the sky and obscured the sun, rapidly devouring the origin divine power and continuously accelerating his body's transformation. The second clone's colossal divine body exceeded 100,000 kilometers, nearly reaching the limit of 1,000,000 kilometers. Under the integration of divine power, the divine radiance on his divine body continuously condensed, making the entire divine body almost indistinguishable from a flesh and blood life form, and it was even impossible to tell that it was entirely composed of divine power. The solidified divine body's durability had surpassed that of a heavy treasure, reaching a level comparable to a supreme heavy treasure. As divine power integrated, the second clone's bones, flesh, and meridians all underwent a transformation. The second clone was very similar to the first clone. In terms of law comprehension, he had fully comprehended all laws. When breaking through to become undying, he also chose to break through with the 8 lower laws simultaneously. However, after becoming undying, all his energy was focused on the fusion of the space-time law. The second clone's breakthrough process was very smooth, and no accidents occurred. After the breakthrough, the second clone's strength also greatly improved, and the fusion of the space-time law further accelerated. He only needed a period of digestion, and he would soon reach the level of the main body, or even directly surpass it. Furthermore, with Qin Hao's experience in creating and sharing secret techniques, the creation of the second clone's secret technique was also directly put on the agenda. After the second clone's breakthrough, Qin Hao directly moved the third clone out of the Jianglan realm. The task of guarding Destroyer's breakthrough was then directly handed over to the second clone. His powerful divine body, divine power, and the space-time law's weird and power were already completely sufficient to deal with ordinary enemies. Even peak-level powerhouses would be held off long enough for Qin Hao to teleport his divine kingdom. From the second clone's breakthrough location, Qin Hao directly activated Divine Kingdom teleportation, returning to the Star Palace. Both the second clone's and third clone's breakthroughs were chosen to be outside the human territory. This decision was also to conceal the strength and identity of the two. Currently, the only clone Qin Hao had exposed was the second clone, and even then, only Primordial Chaos City Lord knew about it. Back in the Star Palace, before Qin Hao could begin his next plan, a demon race venerable respectfully entered the main hall from outside. "Master, Liu Feng is waiting outside the palace, should he be summoned?" The demon race venerable knelt on the ground, respectfully asking. He came quite coincidentally, Qin Hao thought, slightly moved. He had just returned, and Liu Feng arrived. It was quite a coincidence. After all, Qin Hao spent most of his time cultivating, and the main hall of the Star Palace was usually only guarded by a divine power clone to handle some matters. "Bring him in," Qin Hao's voice came from above the main hall. The demon race venerable quickly stood up, respectfully saluted, then exited the main hall and quickly walked towards the outside of the Star Palace complex. "It's truly magnificent. I never thought Qin Hao is already so powerful." Babata's voice continuously echoed in Liu Feng's ear. Even though he had gained a lot of knowledge following Liu Feng, he was still very shocked by the palace complex in front of him. Such a vast palace complex with such powerful might, even the Heavenly Eclipse Palace Master's palace he had seen before was far inferior to the current palace complex. One must know that Heavenly Eclipse Palace Master was a top universe overlord, holding an extremely high position in the human race. Even knowing that Qin Hao was powerful and had long reached the level of a universe overlord, the palace before them was clearly not something a universe overlord could possess. Especially Liu Feng, who felt the aura of supreme heavy treasures from the palace complex. Over 300 palaces were all supreme heavy treasures. It was no less impressive than his teacher Primordial Chaos City Lord's Myriad Heavy Treasures River. After all, although the Myriad Heavy Treasures River was called Myriad Heavy Treasures, many of them were only heavy treasures. Yes, I never thought he'd become so powerful. Liu Feng was also deeply shaken. This friend, who had originally left Earth with him, had already become a top expert in the universe. As the two were sighing with emotion, an energy fluctuation emanated from the palace complex, and a door appeared outside the palace complex, with a monster race emerging from within. Monster race. A demon race venerable. Looking at the figure that appeared, Liu Feng and Babata were even more shocked. They never expected that the one who appeared was a monster race, and even a demon race venerable. "My master is already waiting in the main hall. Please follow me." "Thank you," Liu Feng said, following the demon race venerable into the palace complex, stepping onto the stairs and heading towards the main hall. Along the way, looking at each palace, the peculiar laws, and feeling the rich energy and clear laws within the entire Star Palace, Liu Feng couldn't help but become immersed in it. "Luo Feng, quickly look at the third palace in the southeast direction." Babata's voice reached Liu Feng's ear, and Liu Feng looked towards the location Babata mentioned. What came into view was a large hall primarily golden in color. Above the hall, the law of metal and space law surged and condensed above the palace, forming a giant beast god. The beast god was a golden giant dragon, but its head only had one sharp horn. The sharp horn condensed extremely rich space law and law of metal, making it irresistibly sharp. Every movement of the giant dragon seemed to interpret the law of metal, the space law, and the gold space fusion law. Watching the giant dragon's movements, Liu Feng couldn't help but fall into comprehension. The law of metal and space law condensed around his body, and he instinctively began to imitate the giant dragon's movements. Above the main hall, Qin Hao saw Liu Feng's movements and couldn't help but find it somewhat amusing. He instantly appeared beside the leading demon race venerable, stopping him from trying to wake Liu Feng. Qin Hao, Babata's figure, appeared. He originally wanted to stop the demon race venerable, but upon seeing Qin Hao, he couldn't help but exclaim. Babata, long time no see. Qin Hao's tone was relaxed with a hint of nostalgia. However, Babata did not dare to be negligent in the slightest. Although it was just an image, he still respectfully bowed to Qin Hao. Lord Qin Hao. After all, the one who truly had a connection with Qin Hao was Liu Feng, not him. He also understood the terrifying nature of a top expert in the universe. Now, Qin Hao's strength was beyond his imagination. Facing a strong person, Babata deeply adhered to Hu Yanbo's way of doing things, revering every strong person. No need for that, we are old acquaintances. Qin Hao didn't mind, waving his hand and saying. Then, he also shifted his attention to Liu Feng. He had also seen Liu Feng's combat situation in the virtual universe and had a certain understanding of his combat power. Now, watching him in person, everything about Liu Feng was clear, and he was even stronger than expected. The visualization method had indeed reached the getting started stage, and the golden beast god in his sea of consciousness had reached a certain level in both form and spirit. Chapter 337, Resurrection of Hu Yanbo. Luo Feng directly entered a state of enlightenment on the steps, observing the phantom of the golden horned dragon above the palace. He continuously compared it with the golden beast god in his mind, and the aura of law of metal and space law on his body grew increasingly rich, while the gold space fusion law also progressed rapidly. Outside Liu Feng's body, a golden gauze-like existence even formed. The golden gauze continuously transformed, eventually taking on the appearance of the golden beast god. Once the phantom formed, every movement suddenly became naturally perfect. Each claw and pounce contained an inexplicable, unknown power. The golden horned dragon itself was one of the 28 constellations contemplated by Qin Hao, and it was also a star god conceived with the law of metal and space law as its core. To a certain extent, it was not inferior to the golden beast god. However, in the primordial universe, the golden beast god was the most orthodox path of the fusion laws, making the golden horned dragon seem slightly inferior. Nevertheless, as Qin Hao gained a more fundamental understanding of the laws, the golden horned dragon and other star gods gradually embarked on different paths. Furthermore, when Qin Hao conceived these star gods, he also referenced many special life forms from the primordial universe. After all, special life forms are themselves manifestations of certain laws in the primordial universe. To some extent, the golden horned dragon also incorporated some of the divine essence of the golden beast god. Qin Hao initially obtained a beast god statue, which was also of the golden beast god, making the golden beast god the one he had the most contact with. Qin Hao was somewhat surprised that Liu Feng could comprehend the gold space law from it and even reproduce some of the golden beast god's divine essence. Therefore, he appeared to investigate. At the same time, he was also verifying some of his own conjectures. With the 8 tribulation life form and his contact with the way of life, Qin Hao's horizons broadened. Not only in his comprehension of laws, but if there is a way of life, then do the way of karma, the way of destiny, and other such paths also exist, just that he cannot access them yet. Or rather, the place where the primordial universe is located cannot access them, and even for laws, are the 10 great laws all there are. After all, in his previous life, the 3,000 great Taos and billions of laws, though spoken of as countless, still had some existence in reality, just not explicitly listed. Even just speaking of speed, do the law of speed or the way of speed exist? After all, even among the 10 great laws, many of their essences are related to speed, just manifested differently in different laws. If these essences were completely extracted, would they form new laws? However, it is difficult to prove these, at least in the primordial universe and universe C. It is difficult to manifest and separate them. Qin Hao does not dwell too much on these thoughts. While chaotic and scattered thoughts have some benefits, they can also become obstacles to progress. When Qin Hao observed Liu Feng, besides observing Liu Feng's strength and changes, he also wanted to see if there would be even a trace of the trajectory of destiny. Evidently, Qin Hao's goal was not achieved. The Grand Tao is far from something a mere universe Lord can access or even bear at this stage. For 10 days, Qin Hao did not leave. Although he could not grasp the traces of destiny, watching the growth of the protagonist of the original work was also interesting. Moreover, Qin Hao did not have anything too important to do at the moment. His comprehension of laws and creation of secret techniques had all reached a certain stage. What followed was more about the refinement of time. Babata, do you want to revive Hu Yanbo? Out of boredom, Qin Hao began to tease Babata beside him. Upon hearing Qin Hao's words, Babata's eyes filled with disbelief, and he quickly appeared before Qin Hao. Can it really be done? As Liu Feng grew rapidly, Babata gained access to more and more information. He also knew that among the human race, there were means to revive powerful individuals, but it required top-tier human powerhouses to act. For him and Liu Feng now, achieving it would be difficult, and they might not even be able to afford the corresponding price. Or rather, he did not have the ability to pay the sufficient price for revival. Liu Feng had some treasures and valuable items, but they were all Liu Feng's and very important to him. Liu Feng could not possibly take out those things to revive Hu Yanbo. Now, the only thing Babata could wait for was Liu Feng to grow strong enough to then revive Hu Yanbo. As for how much time it would take, he had no idea, but there was always some hope. At this moment, when Qin Hao brought it up directly, Babata seemed to see hope. The Qin Hao before him might just be such a top-tier powerhouse. His status and strength in the human race, as well as this vast palace complex before them. The law aura emanating from any single palace complex, the rising anomalies, could make Liu Feng enter a state of enlightenment. With such strength, he should already be able to revive his old master, right? Looking at the excited Babata, Qin Hao also felt a sense of emotion. Tens of thousands of years had passed. He had been on Earth for over 50,000 years and then followed Liu Feng for 10,000 years. For Babata, the most important person was still Hu Yanbo. However, this was normal. After all, Babata's birth and growth were all alongside Hu Yanbo for tens of millions of years. For Babata, Liu Feng was more like the successor of Hu Yanbo. As his cultivation increased, Babata's attitude towards Liu Feng also underwent significant changes, and the master-servant relationship had already transformed. Can teacher Hu Yanbo really be revived? Liu Feng's voice came at this moment. After 10 days of enlightenment, Liu Feng could feel the changes in himself and was originally preparing to review them. However, upon hearing Qin Hao mention reviving Hu Yanbo, he couldn't help but ask out of curiosity. Having joined the Great Alliance, he also knew the power of Universe Lords, who could reverse time and space to revive powerful individuals, but the cost was enormous. The Ganwu country lord of Ganwu Universe country had accumulated massive debts due to being revived multiple times, which showed how great the cost of each revival was. All right, I won't tease you anymore. Let's go, Qin Hao said, his divine power spreading, directly enveloping Liu Feng and Babata. In a daze, the two of them found themselves outside Earth. Look closely, standing outside Earth, Qin Hao said to Liu Feng. The Universe Lord's authority over time and space was directly put into practice. The surrounding time and space were completely frozen in an instant, then began to rapidly reverse. Everything on Earth seemed to be playing in reverse at an extremely fast speed. Soon, all traces of human beings on Earth disappeared. Luo Feng watched Qin Hao's actions, completely stunned by the scene before him. Time was revering, everything on Earth was rewinding. He even saw his past self for an instant, but it quickly vanished. The civilization on Earth disappeared, and soon it reversed to 60,000 years ago. The speed of time reversal began to slow down considerably. Soon, a blood-colored triangular spaceship, about 800 meters in diameter, appeared. Chapter 338, Resurrection of the Source Star King. For Earthlings, 60,000 years is an extremely long time, but in the river of time, it is merely an instant. Qin Hao, while manipulating the time reversal, also felt the changes in time and space, as if he were in a flowing river. A universe lord manipulating time and space is like going against the current in a river, and in this process, the consumption of divine power continuously increases. After the red triangular spaceship appeared, Babata, who was nearby, became excited, and he began to murmur the names of Hu Yanbo and his subordinates. "Stop!" Qin Hao shouted clearly, and the time reversal ceased. The space in the area outside Earth was directly frozen in the time 60,000 years ago. Through the time, one could even see the people on Yunmo planet, and the enemies who were about to arrive behind them. A powerful divine power emanated from Qin Hao's divine body, transforming into a giant divine hand that reached into the time vortex, crossing time and space, and directly enveloping Yunmo planet and all its inhabitants from 60,000 years ago. Yunmo planet was directly pulled out from the past time. Originally, there was no need to directly pull Yunmo planet out of time. The divine power consumed to retrieve an object from the past far exceeds the object itself. However, for Qin Hao, this amount of divine power consumption had no impact whatsoever. Even the backlash he suffered from resurrecting, Hu Yanbo completely recovered in an instant. "Where is this? Haven't I already died?" Hu Yanbo, who had been resurrected, looked at the familiar surroundings, but his mind was in chaos. His last memory was of being attacked by the demon hand king and dying. Yunmo planet was shattered, his servants were killed, and his 4 direct disciples had also died. But now, everything was so familiar. He was alive, and the people around him were also alive. The only missing figure was Babata. "Babata, check Yunmo planet's status." Hu Yanbo habitually instructed the spaceship, but Yunmo planet did not respond immediately. Instead, the hatch opened at this moment, and a figure walked in from outside the spaceship. "Boss, you've all finally returned, you're all resurrected." After Yunmo planet reappeared, Babata quickly arrived before Yunmo planet, opened the hatch, and entered Yunmo planet. Upon seeing Hu Yanbo, he quickly went to him, his voice filled with excitement. "What exactly happened? Didn't we already perish?" Hu Yanbo asked Babata after he regained his composure. Babata began to explain what had happened to Hu Yanbo, from the changes on Earth after Hu Yanbo's death, to Liu Feng's arrival and reacceptance of the legacy, and then to their resurrection. "It seems you'll need to train a new assistant," Qin Hao said, remaining outside with Liu Feng and observing the situation inside Yunmo planet. Qin Hao still had a good impression of Hu Yanbo. Earth's origin was inseparable from Yunmo planet, and some of the earliest legacies also relied on Yunmo planet's support. Now, choosing to resurrect, Hu Yanbo was also out of this consideration. Resurrecting a champion held no pressure for Qin Hao. Furthermore, Hu Yanbo also had some talent, and having him as a subordinate after resurrection was a good option, at least to leave a guardian for Earth. "Lord Qin Hao." Hu Yanbo led the people behind him to Qin Hao, bowing respectfully, his voice filled with sincerity. Yunmo planet also played a significant role in Earth's rise. "Hu Yanbo, from now on, you will be under the Star Palace, and your duty will be to protect Earth. As for the Demon Hand King, you can deal with him yourself once your strength increases," Qin Hao said directly after looking at Hu Yanbo. "Yes, Lord." Hu Yanbo's eyes were filled with excitement. Although the person before him was very young, having cultivated for only 10,000 years, his immense strength and the power behind him were beyond his reach. He was very happy to be able to join now. After one fall, he also understood the importance of backing, especially since he still had an enemy, the Demon Hand King, a king-level powerhouse, whom he could not defeat yet. Now with the Star Palace as protection, he had more time to grow stronger. You can discuss the rest with Liu Feng, Qin Hao said, then instantly teleported away, reappearing on Mount Everest. Qin Hao came here to resurrect Source Star King. Although he did not know the cause of Source Star King's death, from numerous clues, it was highly likely that he perished during the Star Tower's legacy. After all, Source Star King was considered the most talented and strongest individual of the previous era in Earth's lineage. However, for a champion to gain recognition from the Star Tower, the minimum will required was above that of a universe lord, and Source Star King was still very far from this standard. On Mount Everest, after Qin Hao locked down the surrounding space, time began to flow backward. Hundreds of thousands, millions, and several million years of time passed before it stopped, and Source Star King's figure appeared in time. A powerful divine power directly enveloped Source Star King, pulling him out from the past time. As Source Star King gradually left his original time, Qin Hao's divine power was rapidly consumed. However, even so, for Qin Hao's massive divine body, resurrecting a champion had a negligible impact on him, and the backlash from the primordial universe did not significantly affect Qin Hao either. How did I return to Source Star? Source Star King looked at everything around him after being resurrected. Although Earth had been shattered several times, the environment that reformed after each shattering did not change much. Even after several hundred years, Source Star's environment and cosmic position had not changed at all. However, he then saw Qin Hao standing beside him. Although he did not feel a threatening aura, the ability to appear silently beside him meant that his strength must far exceed his own. At this moment, Source Star King also realized that he had died and was now resurrected. Therefore, the strength of the person before him was very clear. Universe Lord. Lord, Source Star King was about to bow when a powerful force stopped him. Teacher Source Star King, Qin Hao said, and at the same time, Gu also appeared beside him. Seeing Gu appear beside Qin Hao, Source Star King also understood the reason for what had happened. The legacy he left behind seemed to have found an inheritor, and the person before him was his inheritor. However, from accepting the legacy to becoming a universe lord, he did not know how many years had passed. Furthermore, although he was currently on Source Star, the entire planet was clearly no longer the civilization he was in at that time. Chapter 339, Stillness Breeds Movement. Compared to Hu Yanbo, who still needed to make his own arrangements, Source Star King didn't require Qin Hao to arrange too many things. After resurrecting Source Star King and returning his original inheritance treasure vault to him, Qin Hao didn't bother to check for much else. However, within the inheritance treasure vault, Qin Hao added some items: spaceships, cultivation resources, several heavy treasures, and one ultimate treasure. These treasures were already sufficient for Source Star King to use up to the universe exalt level. Additionally, Qin Hao also gave Source Star King a copy of his insights into the 5 elements laws and the fusion laws. For Source Star King, these insights were far more important than resources. After all, his cultivation had previously entered a bottleneck. His cultivation of the 5 elements laws was still stuck on the individual laws, and his progress in fusion laws was very limited. Now, with Qin Hao's insights, his cultivation in the 5 elements laws had a clear direction. After resolving these matters, Qin Hao didn't immediately leave Earth, but continued to live there for 100 years. During this century, Qin Hao once again returned to a state of tranquility and inaction, and his mind became even more clear and profound. At the same time, Qin Hao could occasionally enter a state of resonance with the primordial universe and the laws. In this state, although Qin Hao didn't focus on comprehending the laws, his understanding of them continuously improved. However, the laws Qin Hao himself comprehended were very complex and chaotic, almost covering all combinations of laws. Even in this state, it was difficult for Qin Hao to complete his accumulation of insights into the laws. Qin Hao didn't force it. The laws are fundamental and key to future cultivation. Every step is extremely important. The foundation of all great Taos is the laws. Each law and fusion law exists like a character, or rather, a foundation. These foundations form articles and disciplines, and these disciplines are the great Taos and their branches. On Earth, Qin Hao walked through the city and came to the wilderness, looking at everything around him, feeling everything. The blue sky, white clouds, fields, rivers. After walking for some time, Qin Hao's figure directly vanished from Earth, leaving behind a divine power clone. He himself returned directly to the Star Palace and began a new round of secluded cultivation. The laws are complex, and Qin Hao had to devote himself wholeheartedly to comprehending them. The fusion of two simple laws was very easy for Qin Hao now, achievable under the star god's comprehension. However, the time required for the fusion of 3 or even 4 laws increased exponentially. Time passed, and several hundred years quickly went by. Qin Hao's cultivation in the Star Palace progressed in an orderly manner, mostly spent within the Jianglan realm, except for the times he checked on Rokas and Qin Huang. Over hundreds of thousands of years, Qin Hao's comprehension of the laws continuously improved, and various fusion laws saw good progress. However, there were no particularly major breakthroughs. Qin Hao knew that this was the normal state of cultivation. The cultivation of laws becomes slower the further one progresses. Especially in the primordial universe, it relies more on one's own comprehension and exploration. In particular, the laws Qin Hao was currently fusing were basically 3 or more laws, and these laws themselves were meant to accelerate the cultivation of the 5 elements laws, wind, lightning, light, and other fusion laws. It was all for the ultimate comprehension of the chaos law, a path directly leading to a chaos master. Guiding Rokas's cultivation also went very smoothly. Under the evolution's secret technique, Rokas's gene level had already increased to 10 times. Furthermore, he had made good progress in the fusion of the law of fire and the law of light, even creating some applied secret techniques. Moreover, what pleased Qin Hao the most was that Rokas had made good progress in the fusion of the law of light and the time law. Don't let Rokas's achievements over 1,000 years of cultivation seem great. In fact, it was more due to the wonder of the Sun God Temple, coupled with Qin Hao's guidance and the Sun God Lord's teachings. When Rokas left, Qin Hao also gave him some life-saving treasures and methods. After all, he was his disciple and needed some care. Subsequently, he directly sent Rokas to the outside territory battlefield. Although the Virtual Universe Corporation had many arrangements for World Lord rank individuals, Qin Hao still chose to send Rokas to the outside territory battlefield. The outside territory battlefield is a place where opportunities and dangers coexist. To become a strong person, combat is a necessary experience. What's more, with his own methods, Rokas wouldn't be in too much danger. His own strength, coupled with the methods he left, meant escaping from a king-level expert was not a problem. After all, being able to rival a king-level expert at the World Lord rank is not that simple. Qin Hao was an anomaly. Liu Feng was also an anomaly. Previously, the strongest genius Keti only rivaled a champion at the World Lord rank. The strength of Qin Hao and Liu Feng, besides their comprehension of laws, various opportunities, and the power brought by their gene level, were the fundamental reasons for fighting beyond their rank. As for Qin Huang, she was completely in a state of wild fun. Except for the first 100 years when she cultivated diligently, she later completely let herself go, constantly traveling between the Star Palace and Earth. She would return almost every few decades, cultivating for a period in the Star Palace, then playing on Earth for a period, or even directly traveling to the Ganwu Universe country and other universe countries. Qin Hao saw this and didn't stop her much. It was no problem for Qin Ying to become undying. As for whether she could become a strong person, Qin Hao didn't care too much. As long as she had infinite lifespan, plus the inheritance he left behind, there was a high possibility of her becoming a universe exalt or universe lord. Other things could not be accumulated simply through resources or inheritance. Even a universe lord is not that easy to achieve through accumulation. The only thing Qin Hao could guarantee was Qin Ying's safety. Now, when Qin Ying went out, she was accompanied by many guards, including 2 universe exalts, one from the monster race and one from the insect race, plus a large number of king-level experts, ensuring Qin Ying didn't have to worry about encountering any danger within human territory. Qin Hao, who had cultivated in the Jianglan realm for several decades, emerged from it, feeling a restlessness in his heart. After all, cultivation is not just about arduous meditation. It also involves continuously increasing knowledge and experience. Currently, human universe lords, besides those stationed in various secret realms and human territories, many choose to gain experience in the primordial universe or the universe sea. The Darkness Lord and the Ice Peak Lord are like this. Apart from appearing at important events like the Human High Council, they rarely show themselves in public. Even when they appear in human territory, it is usually just a divine power clone. Chapter 340, Wuhua Secret Realm. Chapter 340, Wuhua Secret Realm. In the Star Palace, after Qin Hao emerged from his cultivation, he began to ponder where to travel. For a cultivator who had only cultivated for 10,000 years, Qin Hao's power was immense, but he had experienced very little, and his understanding of the universe largely remained at an informational level. For Qin Hao, traveling was to understand the universe more deeply, to learn about more races, and to enrich his experiences. These experiences were primarily meant to promote his growth in cultivation and mental fortitude. After all, neither cultivation nor the cultivation of one's mind and mental state could be improved solely through secluded training. Whether it was the human race or other races in the universe, cultivation was mostly about comprehending laws. Truly comprehending the universe or cultivating one's mental state were rare pursuits. I'll go wherever the road takes me. Although he had no specific destination, the goal for Qin Hao was simply to go out. After leaving the Star Palace, Qin Hao first traveled among the various life planets within the Ganwu Universe country. On each planet, he would wander for a day or two at minimum, or stay for 3 to 5 days at most. Although the Ganwu Universe country was a universe country Qin Hao was relatively familiar with, he had very little true understanding of its life planets. After all, during his time in the Ganwu Universe country, most of it was spent on Earth. Outside of Earth, apart from visiting some life planets when he first left Earth, the subsequent period was the Genius Battle, and then he went to Primordial Chaos City. During his travels among various life planets, Qin Hao witnessed many different kinds of planets, different human populations, and different fates. From indigenous planets to technological planets, behind the rise of every life planet lay the growth of individual powerhouses. An astral rank could protect a life planet, a universe rank could occupy a starfield, a territory lord rank could dominate a region, a world lord rank could establish a local power, and an undying could found an undying kingdom. In the process of his travels, Qin Hao witnessed the growth of planets and also the cruelty within them. Even within the human territory, there was a great deal of inequality. If a life planet had no powerhouses, once discovered, its fate was to be enslaved. Slaves appearing among humans on various life planets emerged from this process, and throughout the entire universe, a large number of slaves were constantly being sold. Every time he saw such a situation, Qin Hao felt a deep stir in his heart. Such a situation should not appear within human territory. yet it was very difficult to completely prohibit. Within every power in the human territory, more or less, there were connections to slave trading. Every year, large numbers of personnel were dispatched to constantly explore unknown regions, searching for new, undiscovered life planets. These planets were a treasure trove for any power. The constantly produced goods, resources, and population could all be converted into resources and money. Although he sighed and wanted to change the status quo, to achieve it, Qin Hao still needed an opportunity to prove his strength, an opportunity to speak out. However, this opportunity should not be far off. Leaving the Ganwu universe country, Qin Hao began to travel among the various universe countries of the human territory. Although they differed and their races had some disparities, ultimately, they still had commonalities. Luo Feng actually contacted me again. Qin Hao appeared in the virtual universe, and Liu Feng's figure quickly materialized before him. Qin Hao, I need your help. Liu Feng didn't stand on ceremony with Qin Hao. During their time together on Earth, Liu Feng had discovered that Qin Hao hadn't changed much, still much like he was back on Earth. Therefore, his initial awe of Qin Hao gradually evolved into a more harmonious relationship. Oh, our Blade River King also needs help. With your current strength, you're comparable to a universe exalt. Unless you encounter a powerhouse above a universe overlord in the universe, nothing should be able to stop you, right? Qin Hao teased Liu Feng before directly asking. After leaving Earth, Liu Feng continued his search for the next inheritance of the 9 Tribulations Secret Codex. His first target was the portion located in the Wuhua Secret Realm. After entering the Wuhua Secret Realm, Liu Feng quickly obtained the 9 Tribulations Secret Codex with his powerful strength and also acquired a Beast God token. But he was also trapped within the Wuhua Secret Realm and unable to escape. After all, the Wuhua Secret Realm is a small universe secret realm, with 6 dangerous areas where even universe exalts can fall. The danger level of most areas only poses a threat to immortal army lords. Currently, Liu Feng was in the ice prison star belt within the Wuhua Secret Realm, one of the 6 dangerous areas. What gave Liu Feng a headache was the Dooku race within the ice prison star belt. This race is not numerous, has no gender distinction, but they are special life forms. Their gene level is about 100 times that of humans, and they possess hundreds of undying beings, as well as 2 universe exalts. Furthermore, these 2 universe exalts are both divine envoys under the Elder God cult, with strength reaching the universe overlord level. Luo Feng came to Qin Hao this time precisely because of this. 2 beings at the universe overlord level were not something Luo Feng could contend with at his current stage. Moreover, the Beast God token in his hand was extremely important, so he naturally handled it with utmost care. During his conversations with Qin Hao had mentioned the purpose of the Beast God token, reminding him to apply to his teacher, Primordial Chaos City Lord, for a Beast God token to enter the Elder God cult and receive its inheritance. Liu Feng's Beast God token was not intended for his own use, but rather for his other teacher, Zhan Yan King. Now being trapped in the ice prison star belt and unable to leave, Liu Feng thought of Qin Hao. With the strength of a universe lord, taking him out of the ice prison star belt would be no difficulty at all. After listening to Liu Feng's account, Qin Hao did not hesitate and immediately agreed. In the original work, the Lord of the Skywolf appeared at this time. He could make some preparations on this trip, directly capture the Lord of the Skywolf, and also give the monster race a taste of their own medicine. At the same time, he could also use this to demonstrate his strength, strengthen his voice, and begin to push for some reforms within the human race. Other matters might be disregarded, but the slave system among humans still needed to be changed. Even if complete equality could not be achieved, the institution of slavery no longer had any reason to exist. Initially, this system was only meant to stimulate the growth of the human race. After Qin Hao agreed to Liu Feng's request, he did not prepare to linger any longer and headed directly towards the Wuhua Secret Realm. Chapter 340, One Lord of Sirius. Chapter 341, Lord of the Skywolf. It took Qin Hao several days to travel from the human territory to the Wuhua secret realm, even for a universe lord. Upon arriving at the Wuhua secret realm, Qin Hao did not enter directly. Instead, he first contacted Liu Feng. He then concealed himself outside the Wuhua secret realm, hidden within the Jianglan realm, and sent a divine power clone into the Wuhua secret realm, preparing to bring Liu Feng out. Upon entering the Wuhua secret realm, Qin Hao began to observe the surrounding environment. It was a small universe secret realm with a very simple cosmic structure, spanning 160,000 light-years in diameter, and containing a special aura of laws. The most concentrated was the water attribute aura, indicating that this small universe originally belonged to a true god who had cultivated using water element laws. Within the Wuhua secret realm, Qin Hao continuously teleported, each jump covering several light-years. Soon, he arrived outside the ice prison star belt. Multicolored currents flowed like ribbons, with the ice prison star belt at its core. Ring after ring of currents enveloped the core of the ice prison star belt, emanating an immense coldness. These currents were not true water, but countless tiny, extremely cold, peculiar crystals. The so-called currents were more like a mudslide. Although teleportation was most forbidden within the ice prison star belt, for Qin Hao, a universe lord, such prohibitions had no effect. Soon, Qin Hao appeared on Ice Hell Star, arriving at Liu Feng's hiding place. Qin Hao also saw the special life forms on Ice Hell Star, the Dooku. The purple Dooku were few in number, resembled human females, and emitted a coldness that could directly affect the soul. The green Dooku were more numerous, resembled human males, and their coldness targeted the body. At the same time, the Dooku race was not weak in strength. The two strongest members of the race, Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable, were both powerful practitioners of the water beast god path. Coupled with their special status within the Elder God cult, they could exert universe overlord-level strength. However, even so, it had no effect on Qin Hao, who was not even discovered to have entered Ice Hell Star. Prepare to leave. Qin Hao appeared beside Liu Feng and said directly. Hearing the sudden voice, even Liu Feng was startled. Only after seeing that it was Qin Hao did he breathe a sigh of relief. You scared me. You're finally here. However, there might be some trouble. My whereabouts were discovered by a king-level expert of the Heavenly Wolf clan, who also knows I'm a world lord. I don't know if this will attract other powerful beings. Liu Feng explained his situation, as he figured that if he could summon Qin Hao, the Heavenly Wolf clan might also summon their own powerful beings. The Heavenly Wolf clan was one of the royal clans of the monster race, with its strongest member being a universe lord-level expert. Although Qin Hao was also a universe lord, he had only been one for a few years. Liu Feng was unsure if he could contend with the Lord of the Skywolf, who had been a universe lord for countless years. At the same time, he regretted contacting Qin Hao directly, thus involving him. Perhaps it would have been better to contact his teacher, Primordial Chaos City Lord. Don't worry about it. It's just a small Lord of the Skywolf. This time, my target is the Lord of the Skywolf. Saving you is just a bonus. Qin Hao saw Liu Feng's concerns and said with a playful tone. I heard the Lord of the Skywolf is a peak expert of the monster race, Liu Feng emphasized. He's just a fourth-rank universe master. I can handle him. You still need to hide your identity. This time, besides the Lord of the Skywolf, that Heavenly Wolf champion must also be dealt with. Otherwise, the dangers you'll face after entering the ancestral god tomb will exceed your imagination. Qin Hao explained, his tone very relaxed when he spoke of a fourth-rank universe master. All right, prepare to leave. The Lord of the Skywolf has already appeared outside the Wuhua secret realm. Going out now is perfect to meet him, Qin Hao said, then directly took Liu Feng and disappeared from Ice Hell Star with a single teleportation. And as he left, Qin Hao subtly released a wisp of his aura, directly covering the entire Ice Hell Star. startling both Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable who were cultivating. "Who's there?" The powerful aura caused the two to instantly teleport outside Ice Hell Star, looking towards the Wuhua's secret realm and carefully searching for the owner of the aura. At this moment, Qin Hao had already brought Luo Feng outside the ice prison star belt, just right meeting the Lord of the Skywolf, who was entering the Wuhua's secret realm. A majestic palace, faintly enveloped in flames, appeared out of thin air within the ice prison star belt. The moment the palace appeared, a powerful, brutal pressure directly enveloped the entire ice prison star belt. As the pressure covered the entire ice prison star belt and was about to encompass all of Ice Hell Star, Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable directly joined forces, resisting the powerful pressure of the Lord of the Skywolf outside Ice Hell Star. "Lord of the Skywolf, why oppress the little ones?" Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable transformed into two streaks of light, one green and one purple, and quickly appeared before the Skywolf Palace, their voices filled with barely suppressed anger. "When I descend, they should naturally prostrate themselves in reverence." A rumbling sound emanated from the palace, and a figure wreathed in flames slowly emerged, as if an embodiment of cosmic laws. The form of the Lord of the Skywolf also appeared in the cosmos. A gigantic, pitch-black, demonic heavenly wolf slowly moved, flames coiling around its entire fur, as if scorching the surrounding time and space. The moment it appeared, it seemed to become the core of the entire ice prison star belt. Even the temperature of the cold currents seemed to rise, and the icy crystals continuously melted. Even though Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable were filled with anger, they had no choice but to show respect. A universe lord was far beyond what they could resist. Even with the Elder God cult behind them, they dared not gamble the lives of their entire race. "A member of my Heavenly Wolf clan is imprisoned in your ice prison." The Lord of the Skywolf's voice boomed, causing a section of time and space to tremble and shiver. "Release him." "This Lord of the Skywolf is truly overbearing," Liu Feng transmitted to Qin Hao beside him. After leaving the ice prison star belt, the two did not depart, but instead hid themselves in time and space. Possessing the strength of a sixth-order universe master and an exceptionally powerful understanding of the time-space fusion laws, Qin Hao's concealment methods were far beyond imagination. The surrounding time, law, and space law were directly obscured by Qin Hao. Even another sixth-order universe master would not notice it without careful observation, let alone the Lord of the Skywolf. "A universe lord has his own pride," Qin Hao said. The majesty of the universe's top experts was not something anyone could challenge. Under their watchful eyes, Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable quickly released a king-level expert of the Heavenly Wolf clan from the ice prison. Chapter 342, Conquering the Lord of the Heavenly Wolf. Outside the ice prison star belt, Qin Hao and Liu Feng watched the Lord of the Skywolf's actions. Qin Hao didn't pay much attention. The aura released by a fourth-order universe lord would be much stronger than what was currently displayed, to the point where life within the ice prison star belt and ice hell star might directly perish under its might. However, the aura was actually directly blocked by Green Dooku Venerable and Purple Dooku Venerable. Clearly, the Lord of the Skywolf had some reservations. After all, the two were powerhouses belonging to the Elder God cult. As the number one force in the universe, the Elder God cult had to be treated cautiously by any power. Although the Elder God cult had a high degree of freedom most of the time, when it came to actual combat, it was very difficult for any force to win. One must know that although the Elder God cult did not have a universe strongest, the strength displayed by the three ancestral gods in the primordial universe surpassed that of an ordinary sixth-order universe master. In addition, many guardian beast gods and envoys, among other members, were all peak-level powerhouses. Compared to Qin Hao's calmness, Liu Feng was filled with shock upon seeing the Lord of the Skywolf's might. He had previously seen Qin Hao use the Universe Lord's ability to control time and space, and the might at that time was already extremely powerful. But he hadn't expected that what Qin Hao displayed then was not his full power. Luo Feng knew that Qin Hao's strength already surpassed that of the Lord of the Skywolf, allowing him to calmly observe the Lord of the Skywolf's actions. Just how strong is Qin Hao now? Luo Feng looked at Qin Hao beside him, thinking to himself. Is this it? Qin Hao asked Luo Feng. That's right, it's it, seeing the Skywolf released from the ice hell. Luo Feng said with certainty. As soon as Luo Feng finished speaking, a divine power shot directly from Qin Hao's body. Its immense power directly bypassed the time and space controlled by the Lord of the Skywolf and its formidable might, directly piercing through Skywolf Sibua's body and rapidly igniting its divine body, completely annihilating it in an instant. Who is it? The Lord of the Skywolf's angry voice came. When Sibua appeared, the Lord of the Skywolf nodded with satisfaction, preparing to give Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable a minor lesson. However, he didn't expect that Sibua was killed immediately after being released. This time, his visit was partly for the Beast God token and partly for Sibua. After all, becoming an invincible king powerhouse, without resources, was a good talent for the Heavenly Wolf clan. In the future, becoming a venerable would also allow him to become a core powerhouse of the clan. Now, such a highly valued genius was killed right before his eyes. The Lord of the Skywolf looked in the direction from which the divine power came, and then discovered the presence of Qin Hao and Luo Feng. Looking angrily at Qin Hao and Luo Feng, the flames on the Lord of the Skywolf directly pierced through the surrounding time and space, spreading rapidly, and directly attacking Qin Hao and Luo Feng. Qin Hao didn't care about the Lord of the Skywolf's attack. The power of time and space directly spread, and a powerful force completely annihilated all the flames. Human, hand over the young man behind you. The Lord of the Skywolf looked at Qin Hao and Luo Feng, instantly realizing that Qin Hao was the one who attacked, but to be able to attack right before him and leave him no time to react. The strength of the incoming person was definitely at the Universe Lord level, and even not weaker than his own. The outcome of a battle with him was unknown, so the Lord of the Skywolf shifted his target to Luo Feng behind Qin Hao. Forcing Qin Hao to hand over Luo Feng would at least salvage some losses. Facing the Lord of the Skywolf's intimidation, Qin Hao instantly teleported to stand before the Lord of the Skywolf. Subsequently, a chilling aura emanated from Qin Hao's body. The powerful law fluctuations and cold air directly caused the flames on the Lord of the Skywolf to flicker erratically and gradually dim. Feeling the chilling aura, the light in the Lord of the Skywolf's eyes was filled with shock. The person in front of him was stronger than him, and his comprehension of laws was far more profound than his own. From the chilling aura, he could clearly feel the aura of wind law, water law, and space law. The fused aura of the three laws, with its bone-piercing coldness, instantly resolidified the previously melted crystals throughout the ice prison star belt, and even began to freeze the surrounding time and space. When did such a powerhouse appear in the human race? The Lord of the Skywolf looked at Qin Hao, his eyes flashing with fierce light. The flames on his body, which had been affected, instantly surged again, and his aura, without any reservation, charged towards Qin Hao. The full force of a fourth-order universe lord, mixed with soul power, would require an ordinary universe lord to respond with all their might under such an impact. However, for Qin Hao, the impact from a fourth-order universe lord had no effect whatsoever. Even if the one before him was only Qin Hao's divine power clone, both the intensity of his divine power and the size of his divine body far exceeded those of a normal universe lord. Under the shocked gaze of the Lord of the Skywolf, Qin Hao's divine body rapidly expanded, and a colossal divine body of 90,000 kilometers appeared before everyone. Quickly seal off Ice Hell Star, Purple Dooku Venerable said to Green Dooku Venerable beside him. The two quickly arrived outside Ice Hell Star and fully protected it. A battle between two universe lords would affect an area spanning tens of millions of kilometers, or even hundreds of millions of kilometers. If the ice prison star belt became the battlefield, Ice Hell Star would also be affected. Especially the human race universe lord in front of them, with a divine body of 90,000 kilometers. His strength definitely surpassed that of the Lord of the Skywolf. The Lord of the Skywolf has met his match this time, Green Dooku Venerable said, with a hint of schadenfreude in his tone. The Lord of the Skywolf's intimidation just now had made both of them feel extremely aggrieved. Now that the Lord of the Skywolf had encountered a tough opponent, both of them were very happy. It's not that simple. Universe Lords are not so easy to deal with. Even with a difference in strength, it's difficult to directly kill or trap them. We need to consider our future plans. Ice Hell Star cannot remain here any longer. Purple Dooku Venerable's tone was full of helplessness. Regardless of the outcome of this battle, the Dooku clan could not continue to stay in the Wuhua secret realm. The monster race's vengefulness was something they had to be careful about. A single mistake could lead to the entire Ice Hell Star being targeted by the monster race. Although both of them were universe overlord-level powerhouses, they had no ability to resist a peak race. Even with the Elder God cult behind them, the Elder God cult itself was an extremely loose organization and could not provide constant protection. Let's migrate to the ancestral god secret realm. Green Dooku Venerable thought for a moment and made a decision. Given their status, moving the ice prison star belt directly into the ancestral god secret realm was not a problem. However, the Dooku clan's activities would also be restricted as a result. After all, the ancestral god secret realm also had its own rules. Chapter 343, Subjugating the Bandits. In the ice prison star belt, flames and cold air constantly collided, and the surrounding cosmic environment continuously changed under the impact of these two forces. The collision of two universe lords was enough to completely destroy a starfield. Under the collision between Qin Hao and the Lord of the Skywolf, their divine powers continuously eroded and annihilated each other. However, the Lord of the Skywolf quickly sensed something different. His divine body was much smaller than the 90,000-kilometer divine body of the human in front of him, and there was also a significant difference in quality. If this continued, he would definitely be directly suppressed by the human in front of him. Thinking this, the Lord of the Skywolf dared not continue the stalemate. His figure rapidly retreated into the Skywolf Palace, mobilizing divine power to merge into the Skywolf Palace. At the same time, his massive divine body let out a long howl towards the sky, and through the resonance and amplification of his divine power with the Skywolf Palace, divine power rapidly condensed in his mouth. Oh! With a powerful roar, a massive burst of flame energy transformed into a powerful impact, charging directly towards Qin Hao. The powerful flames, mixed with time law and space law, formed an intense pillar of fire. Along its path, space shattered, time became chaotic, and the flames completely scorched the surrounding time and space. When the Lord of the Skywolf retreated, Qin Hao also quickly became defensive. Even if his own strength surpassed the Lord of the Skywolf, the power his clone could exert was still relatively limited. Divine power condensed, wind law, water law, and space law gathered, and the surrounding time and space were also fully mobilized. Fusion laws resonated with time law and space law, and powerful divine power transformed into a cold air vortex. Within the vortex, ice crystals condensed, and the intense cold froze everything around it. Time and space were completely frozen at this moment. Before the pillar of fire arrived, the surrounding cold air had already formed a barrier. The moment the pillar of fire entered, the cold air vortex rapidly pulled the pillar of fire into it, and the cold air and flames quickly collided. The powerful flames were quickly swallowed and annihilated within the vortex. Seeing the pillar of fire rapidly disappear, the Lord of the Skywolf's pupils constricted, and he quickly entered the Skywolf Palace. The Skywolf Palace rapidly closed, transforming into a streak of light and swiftly departing towards the outside of the Wuhua secret realm. Indeed, seeing the Lord of the Skywolf rapidly flee, Qin Hao had already expected it, but he did not immediately take action. Instead, he went directly to Luo Feng's side, bringing Luo Feng to the purple Dooku Venerable and the green Dooku Venerable. "Do you two mind coming with me to watch a show?" Qin Hao said to the purple Dooku Venerable and the green Dooku Venerable. Although it was just a question, the two venerables clearly understood that the powerful individual in front of them was not asking for their opinion, but stating his decision. "Good," the two replied, and Qin Hao's divine power directly enveloped them, rapidly moving towards the outside of the Wuhua secret realm. Outside the Wuhua secret realm, Qin Hao's main body emerged from the seam between space and time. Standing in the void, his massive divine body rapidly manifested, and his enormous divine body in the universe quickly mobilized the surrounding time and space. Inside the Skywolf Palace, the Lord of the Skywolf looked behind him as he advanced, checking if the human powerhouse was pursuing him. After seeing no enemy behind him, he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The brief collision had already made him realize the extraordinary nature of the situation. The appearance of an unfamiliar human powerhouse here, whether he had other intentions, was unknown. It was absolutely impossible that he was here for a mere junior of the Heavenly Wolf clan. The Lord of the Skywolf himself might be his target this time. Thinking of this, the Lord of the Skywolf dared not have the slightest bit of luck. The monster race's situation was not good right now. 1,000 years ago, the monster race, insect race, and automaton race suffered immense losses, and even now, the destroyed areas and powerhouses within various ethnic groups had not fully recovered. Now, if he were to encounter another problem, the monster race's position in the universe would become even more precarious. All the Lord of the Skywolf could do was leave quickly. Preserving himself was the most important thing. After rushing out of the Wuhua secret realm, the Lord of the Skywolf couldn't help but feel a little happy. Once he entered the primordial universe, he could directly use his god kingdom to teleport away. However, just as the Lord of the Skywolf left the Wuhua secret realm, the surrounding space and time were instantly locked down, and the speed of the Skywolf Palace drastically decreased. "Not good, it's an ambush." The Lord of the Skywolf was startled and quickly burned his divine power. Powerful divine power poured into the Skywolf Palace, trying to use the Skywolf Palace to tear through time and space and escape from here. The moment the Skywolf Palace appeared, Qin Hao's actions had already begun. He was not prepared to give the Lord of the Skywolf any chance to leave. Powerful divine power filled the surrounding cosmic space, and divine power also rapidly burned. The moment the Skywolf Palace was fixed by time-space control, a massive divine power hand directly struck the Skywolf Palace. The Skywolf Palace shook violently, and the Lord of the Skywolf also saw the vast divine body in the universe. How is this possible? How can there be such a huge divine body in the primordial universe? The Lord of the Skywolf was also shocked by Qin Hao's divine body at this moment. As an experienced universe lord, he knew even more clearly that a powerful divine body implied equally powerful strength. "Immediately call the dream monster ancestor for help." The Lord of the Skywolf quickly made a decision. Facing such a powerful individual, the Lord of the Skywolf knew that even escaping would be extremely difficult. Now that the Skywolf Palace was restricted, the opponent's comprehension of space-time law far surpassed his own. If he had fled immediately at the start of the battle, there might have been hope. The current situation was that he had already entered the opponent's ambush. The powerful divine body and the arrangement of the surrounding time and space clearly indicated that this human had been lurking outside the Wuhua secret realm before he entered it. The universe lord within the Wuhua secret realm was merely delaying him slightly. All he could do now was stall for time and wait for the demon ancestor to arrive. However, Qin Hao was not prepared to give him much time. Qin Hao also knew that the Lord of the Skywolf would definitely call the monster race for help in such a situation. What needed to be done now was to quickly take down the Lord of the Skywolf. As for the subsequent matters, they would naturally be negotiated between the two races. A universe lord, whether killed or exchanged for certain resources, was extremely important to the human race. Now, the goal was to capture the Lord of the Skywolf. Thinking this, Qin Hao directly unleashed his full power. He opened his palm, and the time-space millstone appeared in his hand, rapidly expanding to cover tens of millions of kilometers around him. After the time-space millstone appeared, Qin Hao directly threw the time-space millstone towards the Skywolf Palace, where the Lord of the Skywolf was, directly drawing the Skywolf Palace into the time-space millstone. The powerful forces of time, space, and time-space directly entangled the Skywolf Palace, dragging it into the time-space millstone. Chapter 344, Resettling the Yanku Clan. Time-space millstone, as a sixth-order universe master secret technique created by Qin Hao, could be said to be the peak secret technique in the primordial universe regarding the application of space-time law. The only one who might surpass him in time-space secret techniques might be Primordial Chaos City Lord. After all, he is a long-existing universe lord, and he also walks the path of the fusion of time law and space law. As for other universe lords, only a very small portion walk the path of time-space fusion, and after walking for a period, most of them switch to other cultivation paths. The moment it was absorbed by the time-space millstone, Lord of the Skywolf felt a powerful force constantly pulling on the Skywolf Palace. The space and time outside the Skywolf Palace began to twist, and a powerful force continuously tore at the Skywolf Palace. Even the time-space within the Skywolf Palace began to twist at this moment, and Lord of the Skywolf even felt the entire Skywolf Palace start to become unstable. How is this possible? The Skywolf Palace is a top-tier true treasure. How could it be affected? Lord of the Skywolf quickly channeled his divine power into the Skywolf Palace, activating its might to maintain its stability. Even the Skywolf Palace was affected by the human's secret technique. If he lost the Skywolf Palace, his outcome would be self-evident. He would be directly killed, or even enslaved by the human in front of him. Human, dream monster ancestor will arrive soon. It's still not too late for you to let me go now. If dream monster ancestor descends, even if you are strong, you will fall here. Lord of the Skywolf's voice emanated from within the Skywolf Palace. At this moment, all he could do was stall for time, while also using dream monster ancestor's reputation to intimidate the human universe lord before him. After all, dream monster ancestor is a universe strongest who has been famous for a long time. Even though he is restricted within the primordial universe, he is not someone a typical sixth-order universe master can contend with. However, Qin Hao was clearly not an ordinary universe lord. With a slight thought, the power of the time-space millstone suddenly increased and began to contract continuously, eventually returning to Qin Hao's hand. Lord of the Skywolf and the Skywolf Palace, he was in also shrunk accordingly, and were taken into Qin Hao's hand. Under the time-space millstone, Lord of the Skywolf had no chance to escape. Qin Hao also did not intend to waste too much time, directly putting away the time-space millstone to slowly wear down Lord of the Skywolf's divine power and the Skywolf Palace. As for Dream Monster Ancestor, even if he arrives, it will still take a significant amount of time, which is completely enough for him to complete his subsequent arrangements and retreat easily. After putting away the time-space millstone, Qin Hao's figure also began to change. His massive body, millions of kilometers in size, directly transformed into the size of a normal human, and a single teleportation brought him to the edge of the Wuhua secret realm. He walked towards Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable, who were observing the battle in the Wuhua secret realm, and Liu Feng beside them. What are your plans next, both of you? Qin Hao looked at Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable and asked directly. You too should have heard that Dream Monster Ancestor is about to arrive. With Lord of the Skywolf disappearing here, Dream Monster Ancestor will certainly not let the Dooku clan off easily. Even if you two are backed by Elder God cult, it will be difficult to influence Dream Monster Ancestor's decision. Qin Hao continued, not waiting for their reply. Now, Purple Dooku Venerable and Green Dooku Venerable did not have many choices. A universe lord had disappeared, and under circumstances where he was ambushed. It would be difficult for the Dooku clan to escape suspicion, so what they might face next was the wrath of the universe strongest around Dream Monster Ancestor. Even with the identity of an Elder God cult god general, Dream Monster Ancestor would not care too much. After all, a universe strongest, even under the restrictions of the primordial universe, is very difficult to kill, and Elder God cult would not do such a thankless task. Furthermore, Dream Monster Ancestor would not act without reason. The final outcome would likely be the direct annihilation of the Dooku clan. Green Dooku Venerable and Purple Dooku Venerable would be killed, and even if they were resurrected by Elder God cult in the future, their clan would find it very difficult to recover. Facing such a situation, the two Venerables felt very heavy-hearted. Originally, they were just watching a show. After two Universe Lords fought, one would be defeated and the other would leave, and they would have time to directly relocate the entire Dooku clan to the ancestral god's secret realm to escape trouble. Now, these plans had been completely shattered, and there was only one choice left: to join the human race and migrate with the human expert before them. However, even so, they could only move Ice Hell Star. The Ice Prison Star Belt would be difficult to take away, and the Dooku clan would be greatly affected. Seeing the hesitation of Green Dooku Venerable and Purple Dooku Venerable, Qin Hao did not continue speaking. Now was their time to choose, and their time to make a decision. As for what conditions the human race would offer later, it also depended on their decision. If they disagreed, Qin Hao would also leave directly and would not care about the situation of the Dooku clan after Dream Monster Ancestor arrived. We are willing to join the human race. After a brief deliberation, Green Dooku Venerable and Purple Dooku Venerable quickly made their decision. There was not much time left for them to think. Every moment that passed could potentially lead to unforeseen changes. A correct choice. Qin Hao nodded in satisfaction. Prepare to leave now. Dream Monster Ancestor should be arriving soon. As he spoke, Qin Hao's divine power directly enveloped Green Dooku Venerable, Purple Dooku Venerable, and Liu Feng, and with a single teleportation, they appeared outside the Ice Prison Star Belt. Although the entire Wuhua secret realm cannot be taken away, the entire Ice Prison Star Belt can still be taken away. As he spoke, Qin Hao's divine kingdom directly opened, forming a huge passage that quickly enveloped the entire Ice Prison Star Belt and then swallowed it into his divine kingdom. You too go in and comfort your clansmen. After returning to the human race, I will place the Ice Prison Star Belt in a suitable location, Qin Hao said to Green Dooku Venerable and Purple Dooku Venerable. Only then did the two of them recover from their shock. The entire Ice Prison Star Belt, with a diameter of 2.1 light-years, was actually swallowed into his divine kingdom. Furthermore, they clearly saw that the entire Ice Prison Star Belt only occupied a small portion of the divine kingdom. What kind of expert is this, whose divine kingdom is so vast? After seeing the situation inside Qin Hao's divine kingdom, not only the two of them, but even Liu Feng, who was standing by, fell into shock. After becoming Zhu Shank's disciple, he had learned a lot about some of the universe's secrets. However, he had never heard of such a powerful divine body, millions of kilometers in size, and a divine kingdom measured in light-years. Yes, Lord. Green Dooku Venerable and Purple Dooku Venerable quickly reacted after hearing Qin Hao's words. After respectfully bowing to Qin Hao, they transformed into two streaks of light and entered Qin Hao's divine kingdom. Chapter 345, Dream Demon Ancestor. Do you want to stay here, or hide in my god country. After bringing the Dooku clan into his god country, Qin Hao said to Liu Feng beside him, "You're still planning to stay here. Isn't the dream monster ancestor coming soon?" Liu Feng looked at Qin Hao, his tone filled with surprise and more so doubt. The dream monster ancestor, the universe's strongest of the monster race, is an existence that surpasses a universe lord. But now, Qin Hao asking this question clearly indicates he isn't planning to leave immediately, but rather to meet the dream monster ancestor. Since he's coming, I still need to meet him. What's more, he's only the universe's strongest, and in the primordial universe, he can only exert the strength of a sixth-order universe master. Qin Hao explained to Liu Feng. Qin Hao wasn't confident he could defeat the dream monster ancestor, but with his understanding of the laws, the dream monster ancestor also couldn't take him down. Coupled with the Lord of the Skywolf still in his hands, he could completely force the dream monster ancestor to the negotiating table, securing more benefits for the human race. The human race is a relatively special race in the entire universe. While absolute fairness isn't achievable, it provides its members with ample room for growth. When weak, they receive clan resources. After becoming strong, they strive for more resources for the clan, feeding back into it. Currently, many resources of the human race are provided by universe lords to the clan, supporting the growth of champion and venerable level powerhouses. When coming to Wuhua's secret realm, Qin Hao had already made up his mind to use the Lord of the Skywolf as a bargaining chip to force the monster race to give up more resources. As for killing the Lord of the Skywolf, Qin Hao had also considered it, to obtain the Lord of the Skywolf's peak treasure, and even some resources. However, according to the monster race's nature, the relationship between the two races would inevitably worsen, possibly leading to a deeper alliance of the three races. Currently, the three races are still recovering from his previous destruction, and although they have allied, there is more caution among them. This situation is not yet suitable for direct disruption. As for waiting for the dream monster ancestor's arrival, Qin Hao also wanted to experience the strength of the universe's strongest and the paths they cultivate. "I'll go to your god country." Liu Feng also gave a direct answer. Although he really wanted to watch the upcoming battle, such a battle was clearly not something he could handle. Even a slight aftershock could directly claim his life. Just now, under the protection of Qin Hao's divine power clone, he watched the battle between Qin Hao and the Lord of the Skywolf, which further clarified the power of a universe lord. The control over time and space, the application of laws, powerful secret techniques, surging divine power, each aspect was powerful to the extreme. Even after witnessing many powerhouses and possessing strength comparable to a venerable at the world lord rank, Liu Feng still felt his insignificance. The pride he originally held in his heart gradually subsided at this moment. Qin Hao didn't hesitate either, directly bringing Liu Feng and his divine power clone into his god country. He then returned outside the Wuhua secret realm, waiting for the dream monster ancestor's arrival. Why is Master looking for me at this time? In the virtual universe, the message from the primordial Chaos City Lord surprised Qin Hao. His actions had been relatively secretive, yet he didn't expect to attract the attention of the primordial Chaos City Lord. "Luo Feng said you're going to fight the dream monster ancestor," the primordial Chaos City Lord asked directly. "That's right," Qin Hao said with a firm tone. Although he knew his decision was a bit rushed, he had no intention of backing down. "I've already notified Great Axe to rendezvous with you. The power of the universe strongest will exceed your imagination, so be careful." Without the expected persuasion or obstruction, the primordial Chaos City Lord simply stated his arrangements, and after a single instruction, disappeared directly. Looking at the departing primordial Chaos City Lord, Qin Hao couldn't help but feel a warmth in his heart. Facing the dream monster ancestor, Qin Hao was confident he could retreat safely. After all, with his powerful divine body and continuous clones, Qin Hao could completely use the method of self-detonating clones to hold back the dream monster ancestor. Now with the Great Axe founder as his fallback, Qin Hao was even more relaxed. He directly sat cross-legged in the void, waiting for the dream monster ancestor's arrival. In the endless starry sky, a powerful divine power fluctuation spread, and then a giant snake emerged from the void. Its massive body constantly collided in the starry sky, and in an instant, a silver-white giant snake, 100,000 kilometers long, appeared in the starry sky. Around his body, countless snake shadows swirled. As he appeared, the surrounding starry sky gradually twisted, forming a huge vortex. That little brat Skywolf actually fell into the hands of a human. The dream monster ancestor's chilling voice was filled with a sense of disappointment, as if he hated that Skywolf had not lived up to expectations. The monster race itself was in a turbulent period, and even he, the universe's strongest, had recently been constantly resurrecting strong individuals and geniuses from among his race. Now he also had to deal with the mess caused by the Lord of the Skywolf, and there was a hint of irritation in his heart. However, even if he was annoyed, what needed to be done could not be left undone. With a flick of his snake tail, his figure disappeared from the spot, continuously teleporting, and quickly appeared outside the Wuhua secret realm. The dream monster ancestor is here. Feeling the powerful aura, Qin Hao quickly discovered the dream monster ancestor's figure. Before he could react, the dream monster ancestor's massive form had already appeared before Qin Hao's eyes. "Hand over Skywolf, and I can spare you this once." The dream monster ancestor's formidable aura swept directly over. His silver-white snake body glowed faintly, and an armor integrated into his scales could be seen. This must be the armor-type supreme treasure, Dream Scale. Qin Hao had a certain understanding of the dream monster ancestor. He possessed the domain-type peak treasure, Dream Ancestor Domain, the psychic-type top-grade peak treasure, Demon Isle Vine, and the armor-type supreme treasure, Dream Scale. He was almost invincible. Even in the Universe C, his life-saving methods were extremely strong. The massive 100,000-kilometer snake body and the powerful divine power aura made even Qin Hao feel immense pressure at this moment. However, even so, it was far from making Qin Hao give up directly. His divine body rapidly expanded, quickly reaching over 10 million kilometers before gradually stopping. With his massive divine body, Qin Hao looked at the dream monster ancestor without the slightest hesitation, his divine power rapidly condensing. The powers of time and space were fully mobilized, and a time-space millstone formed again, directly crushing towards the dream monster ancestor. Although it was slightly weaker than the time-space millstone still nurturing within his body, this powerful secret technique, belonging to a sixth-order universe master, directly enveloped the dream monster ancestor, as the power of time and space continuously eroded the surrounding time and space. Chapter 346, The Powerful and Strongest Person in the Universe. The time-space millstone, as Qin Hao's strongest secret technique for the time-space fusion laws at this stage, could unleash attack power close to the limit of a sixth-order universe master's secret technique. Especially under Qin Hao's almost ocean-like divine power, even a sixth-order universe master would need to carefully deal with the secret technique's might, as a single mistake could lead to being ground down by it. It was precisely because of this that Qin Hao had the confidence to confront the dream monster ancestor. However, Qin Hao clearly underestimated the power of the universe's strongest. As the time-space millstone swept towards the dream monster ancestor, her body was covered in emerald green divine power, and her snake tail vibrated, suddenly striking out. Subsequently, the surrounding time and space also trembled. Space shattered. Time became chaotic, turning into a turbulent flow that directly collided with Qin Hao's time-space millstone. With just one collision, the time-space energy within the time-space millstone became chaotic and began to expand rapidly. Bang! A massive explosion swept through tens of millions of miles of space, shattering it directly, and spatial fragments continuously spewed out from the space interlayer. As expected of the universe's strongest, seeing the time-space millstone directly defeated, Qin Hao couldn't help but sigh with emotion. After becoming a universe lord, he could also feel his own power, and it was precisely for this reason that he wanted to engage in a great battle to verify his strength and simultaneously see the gap between himself and the strong. Through a simple collision with the dream monster ancestor, Qin Hao also clearly understood the gap between himself and the universe strongest. Although the universe strongest could only display the strength of a sixth-order universe master in the primordial universe, once it exceeded that of a sixth-order universe master, it would be restricted by the primordial universe. But even if its power could not be fully exerted, its control over power and its extremely high understanding of exertion still surpassed that of a sixth-order universe master. Under such circumstances, it was difficult for a sixth-order universe master to defeat the universe strongest, and it was impossible for the universe strongest to kill a sixth-order universe master under power restrictions. The positions of both were almost at the limit of the universe, making it difficult to break through. After a simple collision, Qin Hao also understood that continuing the battle would yield no results, and he began to plan his direct departure. Trying to leave? The dream monster ancestor's voice entered Qin Hao's ears, and at the same time, her 100,000-kilometer snake body rapidly expanded to tens of millions of kilometers, quickly coiling around Qin Hao's divine body. Under the immense power and emerald green divine power, Qin Hao felt the divine power within his divine body being continuously devoured by the emerald green divine power, and the power of his strong divine body was also being bound by the dream monster ancestor. At the same time, the surrounding time and space seemed to have completely stopped at this moment, and even a universe lord's control over time and space seemed to have weakened considerably. Feeling the strong sense of restraint and the rapidly decreasing divine power, Qin Hao's expression remained unchanged. Within his body, 365 nodes shimmered slightly, and the divine power that was originally flowing out instantly stopped, with the divine power within his divine body being quickly replenished. At the same time, within Qin Hao's divine body, divine power avatars were rapidly differentiated, and in the blink of an eye, over 100 divine power avatars, each 90,000 kilometers tall, split from Qin Hao's divine body, burning divine power the moment they appeared, breaking through space, and instantly teleporting to various positions around the dream monster ancestor. Explode. Over 190,000-kilometer divine bodies then exploded, and at the same time, Qin Hao's main body also directly burned divine power, broke through space, and vanished from the spot. In the massive explosion, although the dream monster ancestor was impacted, her supreme treasure-level armor, coupled with her inherent strength, meant she was not affected in the slightest by the explosion, but rather watched the vanishing Qin Hao with amusement. Her huge snake tail gently swayed, attempting to dispel the turbulent flow and chaotic law power generated by the divine power explosion. The divine power hasn't disappeared. Looking at the still-present laws and divine power residue around her, the dream monster ancestor also became vigilant at this moment. As the monster race's universe strongest, the dream monster ancestor's divine power was extremely powerful, but she was unable to directly disperse the powerful divine power that formed a mist around her. Dream descent. As hazy voices sounded in the space, the surrounding mist began to become illusory, the divine power began to twist, and time, space, and all laws seemed to be changing, becoming unfamiliar. Dream descent is a soul secret technique developed by Qin Hao, initiated within the original dreamlike enlightenment, and is another upgrade to dreamlike enlightenment. This secret technique differs from the auxiliary enlightenment nature of dreamlike enlightenment. It is more of a soul attack and illusion-type secret technique. It uses powerful soul power and will to distort the perception and sensation of time, space, and laws. Once completely controlled by the secret technique, even the strongest would become like ordinary people, unable to mobilize their control over laws and divine power. Ultimately, it creates a discrepancy between the opponent's soul frequency and reality, achieving the effect of influencing the opponent. This was also the first time Qin Hao had used this secret technique, and he didn't expect to apply it directly to the universe's strongest. However, even so, Qin Hao was extremely cautious. After the secret technique was cast, he did not intend to continue fighting the dream monster ancestor. After all, with the existence of a supreme treasure, any physical attack would be ineffective. And in terms of soul attack, at the moment of dream descent, Qin Hao also had a collision and contest with the dream monster ancestor's soul. Although Qin Hao's current soul power and will level are at the true god level, he is not a true god himself. The power of a true god is not only an improvement in soul level and divine power, but also the completion of the small universe's gestation, and the true god itself is protected by the small universe's origin. It could be achieved over a longer period, but it was difficult to cause significant damage in a short time. Under such circumstances, he could only stall for time, waiting for Great Axe Founder to arrive. As fellow universe strongest, Great Axe Founder should have a way to deal with the dream monster ancestor before them. However, the probability of killing a universe strongest in the primordial universe should be extremely small. Furthermore, Qin Hao was not sure if his dream descent could influence the dream monster ancestor for a long time. Feeling the changes in the dream descent area, he continuously increased the input of soul power and divine power, and the powerful divine power, transformed into mist, continuously merged into the area where the dream monster ancestor was located. The divine power drove the laws to constantly change, keeping the dream monster ancestor continuously in the dream, unable to awaken. At this moment, the dream monster ancestor was like being in a dream. Everything around her changed, even the scene changed, and she seemed to have returned to the monster race. Wasn't she just fighting a human race universe lord? Why was she here again? Doubts kept arising in the dream monster ancestor's mind, and the surrounding time and space began to tremble accordingly. Chapter 347, The Clash of the Strongest in the Universe. Outside Wuhua's secret realm, Qin Hao, within the domain formed by the divine power mist, continuously manipulated the surrounding divine power and laws, and with the guidance of his soul power, constantly caused changes in dream monster ancestor's soul. In the center of the mist, every thought that arose from dream monster ancestor, every question that was generated, seemed to cause a split in her soul, and she fell into a state of deep immersion. Even so, Qin Hao did not dare to attack dream monster ancestor rashly. The powerful defensive power of her supreme treasure made Qin Hao realize that his attack would be difficult to succeed. It might even directly awaken dream monster ancestor from her dreamlike immersion. Maintaining the current state would allow him to wait for Great Axe Founder to arrive and let dream monster ancestor suffer a small loss. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribers, and share to infinite novel audiobooks. It could only be a small loss. The limitations of a sixth-order universe master's strength in the primordial universe made it difficult to pose a threat to a universe strongest, and with dream monster ancestor's supreme treasure, there were very few in the primordial universe who could kill her. Even though Qin Hao could temporarily control dream monster ancestor by relying on his soul's secret technique, he did not dare to stimulate her too much. He could only use soul power, divine power, and law aura to guide her, weakening dream monster ancestor's control over herself. Even in this state, Qin Hao did not dare to apply too much stimulation to her soul. To become a universe strongest, every one of them had a legendary journey, and they had almost no obvious weaknesses in terms of temperament, will, divine power, and divine body. Qin Hao's current advantage was partly due to his surprise attack, and partly due to his strong soul, will, and temperament, which had reached the true god level, and even approached the void true god level. It was precisely with this enhancement that Qin Hao was able to control dream monster ancestor for a short time. However, if the stimulation was too intense, It would eventually cause Dream Monster Ancestor to awaken from her dream. Carefully maintaining the operation of the dream, Qin Hao also carefully observed Dream Monster Ancestor. The powerful divine power and divine body of a true god were each far superior to those of a universe lord. Even though Qin Hao's current strength was at the peak among universe lords, he had only been a universe lord for a short time and could not completely overcome the power gap. However, Qin Hao was also confident that as long as his comprehension of laws advanced further, he would be confident in dealing with even a universe strongest. Boom, booms, 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 boom, boom. A powerful heartbeat sound rapidly spread out, and the heartbeat became increasingly intense. As the heartbeat intensified, the surrounding time and space, as well as the dense mist formed by Qin Hao's divine power, were constantly affected by the heartbeat, beginning to vibrate continuously and being dispersed. Not good, Dream Monster Ancestor is about to wake up. Feeling the powerful heartbeat and the strong aura in the center of the mist, he also knew that Dream Monster Ancestor was gradually awakening from the secret realm. Even if she was temporarily confused by the secret technique, the instincts of a universe strongest were still constantly influencing Dream Monster Ancestor, making her instinctively doubt everything. The chaotic thoughts in her mind were rapidly being brought under control, and the instinct of her divine body was constantly repelling everything that affected her existence. The mist gradually dispersed, and a shimmering green light from Dream Monster Ancestor's colossal body, tens of millions of kilometers in size, quickly enveloped the surrounding spacetime. At the same time, Dream Monster Ancestor's divine body rapidly contracted, returning to its original size of 100,000 kilometers. The 100,000-kilometer body was Dream Monster Ancestor's true divine body size, and it was also her strongest state for combat. With her body at 100,000 kilometers, the light in Dream Monster Ancestor's eyes flickered, filled with anger. Roar! A roar erupted from Dream Monster Ancestor's massive snake mouth. With the roar, Dream Monster Ancestor's divine power surged, and an emerald green divine light spread outwards, instantly dispelling the mist generated by Qin Hao's divine power explosion, revealing Qin Hao's figure. It seems I still underestimated you. No wonder Tianling fell into your hands. It seems I can't let you live, otherwise, my monster race will have endless troubles later. Dream Monster Ancestor said, and her snake tail rapidly attacked Qin Hao. Dream Monster Ancestor was very confident in dealing with a universe lord. Her powerful divine body combined with her supreme treasure-level armor made her invincible in combat. Even without using secret techniques, she could achieve the power level of a sixth-order universe master's secret technique. In the primordial universe, if one did not control it well and displayed strength beyond the sixth-order universe master's secret technique level, they would be restricted by the primordial universe. Attacks at the divine body level were easier to control. Facing Dream Monster Ancestor's attack, Qin Hao did not dare to be negligent in the slightest. Shields rapidly formed before him, each reaching the supreme treasure level. Although the strength of each was very limited, when combined, their powerful defensive capability could reach the level of a top-tier supreme treasure. The moment the shields appeared, Qin Hao instantly burned his divine power, and the time law, space law, and earth law fusion laws quickly merged into the array formed by the shields. Powerful divine power, supreme treasure-level shields, and the enhancement of the array quickly formed a huge protective cover, blocking the path of Dream Monster Ancestor's snake tail attack. Bang! After a massive impact, Dream Monster Ancestor's snake tail attack was blocked. After a quick retreat, the attacks became more frequent. However, under Qin Hao's defense, not a single attack broke through. The defensive method before him was an array that Qin Hao had refined by maximizing the defensive power of the Earth Law. With Earth as its root, its powerful defensive capability made it difficult for even Dream Monster Ancestor, a universe strongest, to break through with the strength she could exert in the primordial universe. Even if it were broken, Qin Hao's spatial temporal anchor secret technique would allow him to survive in Dream Monster Ancestors' hands. Moreover, this was not Qin Hao's strongest ability. Apart from the laws currently displayed, the Zhutian star array was Qin Hao's trump card, with the Star Palace, Star God, and the existence of 365 divine kingdoms. Qin Hao could even directly withstand a universe strongest. However, the Zhutian star array had already been used once against the monster race. If it were used again now, it would expose his identity, which could lead to targeting by the insect race, monster race, and automaton race. Meng Cha, you are regressing. As Dream Monster Ancestor continuously attacked Qin Hao, an axe light directly split from deep within the universe. At the same time, the figure of a burly man walked out of the void. With each step he took, the wild aura around him intensified, directly charging towards Dream Monster Ancestor. Chapter 348, The Constraints of the Primordial Universe. Well, Meng Cha, you are living backward. Great Axe Founder appeared beside Qin Hao, holding Great Axe upside down, looking at Dream Monster Ancestor opposite him. Great Axe Founder had been there for a while, but he was still very surprised to see Qin Hao trapping Dream Monster Ancestor in the mist, and even suppressing Dream Monster Ancestor with a soul secret technique. When he saw Qin Hao at the Human Race High Council, he only felt that Qin Hao was a talented junior. He must have had some fortuitous encounter to be able to grow into a universe Lord-level strong individual in such a short time. However, in the short battle just now, the strength Qin Hao displayed was already top tier in the primordial universe. Even among sixth-order universe masters, he was extremely powerful, and he could even suppress a universe strongest with a soul secret technique. With such strength, ordinary universe lords would only be easily controlled. Great Axe, I really didn't expect that your human race would hide such a strong individual. Now, let him release Lord of the Skywolf. Otherwise, our two races will fight to the death. Dream Monster Ancestor looked at Qin Hao and Great Axe in front of him, his fighting intent gradually receding, but his words showed no sign of backing down. Fight to the death. Do your monster race have the capital to fight to the death now? Great Axe Founder's wild aura did not abate at all, and his words showed utter disdain for the monster race. If it had been before, the monster race's attitude would have needed careful handling. However, now the monster race, insect race, and automaton race are all in a state of recuperation. Although the three races have formed a certain alliance, the alliance is very fragile. Neither the insect race nor the automaton race would rashly start a major war because of the monster race's affairs. In fact, they might even wait for the monster race and human race to fight, and then profit from it. As for whether they would stab the monster race in the back, that remains unknown. However, even the monster race at this time would not dare to hand their back over to anyone. After all, although there is some cooperation between the three races, they are ultimately still in a hostile state. Even if they are fighting their common enemy, the human race, there are still races that will choose their own interests during the battle and devour the monster race. Great Axe, state your conditions. Dream Monster Ancestor's tone softened slightly. At this moment, he also knew that the monster race had fallen into a passive position. If it weren't for that little thief, how could the monster race retreat? Dream Monster Ancestor hated the guy who brought massive destruction to the monster race to the bone. The monster race's current predicament is not great, but it affects the entire race. Their strength remains, but they need to consume a large amount of resources to recover. Once war breaks out, whether resources are invested in the war or used to restore the race is an extremely serious problem. The monster race now needs time to recover and a stable environment. At this time, it is not suitable to formally start a war with the human race. Dream Monster Ancestor's words were only to show his attitude. After all, Lord of the Skywolf cannot be given up. At this time, with one less universe lord-level strong individual in charge, the pressure on other universe lords will inevitably increase, and the time for the entire race to recover will also become longer. After Dream Monster Ancestor finished speaking, Great Axe Founder looked at Qin Hao beside him, his eyes also questioning. Lord of the Skywolf was captured by you. What conditions do you want to propose? Great Axe Founder transmitted his voice, asking. As the strongest individual of the human race, he had the right to make decisions. However, the difference between the human race and other races is that even Great Axe Founder, as the strongest, would not forcibly impose his ideas on others. In the original work, after Liu Feng became a universe lord, he wanted to reclaim ownership of Earth. Other universe lords objected, but in the end, it was returned to Liu Feng under the insistence of Great Axe Founder and Primordial Chaos City Lord. Great Axe Founder, do you have the confidence to kill Dream Monster Ancestor in the Primordial Universe? Qin Hao did not answer Great Axe Founder's question, but instead proposed his own idea. Although he had an answer in his heart, Qin Hao still wanted to try. After all, if Dream Monster Ancestor was truly left behind, it would definitely be a heavy blow to the monster race. Even the balance between the four races might change, and the insect race and automaton race might even be unable to resist making a move to devour the monster race. Impossible. In the primordial universe, a universe strongest can only exert the strength of a sixth-order universe master. Once a universe strongest is angered, Great Axe Founder directly gave the answer. After Qin Hao heard it, he understood. As for what kind of conditions, Qin Hao also had a plan in mind. Even if Lord of the Skywolf was to be released, the human race would need sufficient benefits. However, these benefits could not exceed the monster race's tolerance range. 2 peak supreme treasures. Qin Hao gave his price. As for how to negotiate, that would be left to Great Axe Founder to open his mouth. After all, in a confrontation between two universe strongest, even with the strength of a sixth-order universe master, Qin Hao could not get too involved. This was a dialogue between strong individuals. Qin Hao's current identity is only one of the human race's universe lords. Great Axe Founder is the strongest of the human race and can represent the human race. Dream Monster Ancestor is the universe strongest of the monster race and can also represent the monster race. I want your supreme treasure, Meng Lin, Great Axe Founder directly said, immediately asking for Dream Monster Ancestor's strongest supreme treasure, the Meng Lin armor. Impossible. Great Axe, don't test my patience. Dream Monster Ancestor's aura suddenly intensified, and his emerald green divine power directly transformed into a long spear, shooting towards Great Axe Founder. As his aura grew, the surrounding universe space rapidly trembled. Subsequently, in the void, chains rapidly formed, shooting towards Dream Monster Ancestor and coiling around Dream Monster Ancestor's massive divine body. Each chain carried a dense and powerful aura of laws. The moment they coiled around Dream Monster Ancestor, the surrounding spacetime also pressed down towards Dream Monster Ancestor's location. Dream Monster Ancestor's vast aura began to rapidly recede, quickly dropping to the level of a sixth-order universe master before stopping. After his aura completely subsided, the chains on Dream Monster Ancestor gradually disappeared. Is this the power of the original universe will? Looking at the scene before him, Qin Hao gained a new understanding of the original universe will. Even a powerful universe strongest is extremely weak in the face of the primordial universe. In the primordial universe, the original universe will bestows these strong individuals with the divine ability to make their words law, but it also imposes great restrictions. This is also why Great Axe Founder was certain that he could not kill a universe strongest. The restrictions of the primordial universe prevent them from exerting their strongest strength, and ordinary secret techniques simply cannot threaten a universe strongest. The final outcome of their battle would only be suppression by the primordial universe. Chapter 349 Fame spreads throughout the universe. Chapter 349 Famous throughout the universe. After being suppressed by the primordial universe and his aura receding, Dream Monster Ancestor also sobered up from his rage. His eyes, filled with venom, glared at Great Axe Founder and Qin Hao, not expecting that a dignified demon ancestor of the monster race would be subjected to such difficulties by two human race members. If they were in the Universe C, he would have directly gone to battle Great Axe. With his supreme treasure-level armor, even if Great Axe was strong, he would not be able to do anything to him. Now, in the primordial universe, he could only be restrained and unable to display his full strength, forced to negotiate here to get Lord of the Skywolf back. At the same time, a hint of dissatisfaction arose in his heart towards Lord of the Skywolf. How could he have been captured by a human race junior? Although the human race junior in front of him possessed the strength of a sixth-order universe master, with the blessing of the Skywolf Palace, escaping should not have been an issue. Now, he had become a bargaining chip for outsiders to extort the monster race. Dream Monster Ancestor resented this, and he also placed all the losses of the race onto Lord of the Skywolf. After Lord of the Skywolf was rescued, no matter what price the race paid, Lord of the Skywolf would have to repay it twofold, whether by contributing to the race in the primordial universe or by venturing into the Universe C. Great Axe, state your true conditions. Do not challenge my patience any further, Dream Monster Ancestor said again, suppressing his anger. Meng Cha, your temperament is getting worse. We want 3 peak treasures, Great Axe founder stated his conditions. As a 4th-rank universe master, Lord of the Skywolf was very important to the monster race, and the value of 3 peak treasures was completely worth it. Impossible, at most only 1 peak treasure, Dream Monster Ancestor refused directly. Every peak treasure was extremely important to the race, and only a few peak universe lords possessed them. The difference in strength between a 6th-order universe master with a peak treasure and one without is immense. The blessing of a peak treasure directly impacts the outcome of battles. Even as the universe strongest of the monster race, he currently only possessed 1 supreme treasure and 2 peak treasures. Other treasures could no longer provide any additional power to his strength. Lord of the Skywolf is your monster race's 4th-rank universe master, and he has a series of treasures like the Skywolf Palace. In your eyes, is he only worth 1 peak treasure? Great Axe founder said. Although his appearance resembled a savage, Great Axe founder's wisdom was still exceptional when dealing with such matters. In the primordial universe, every strong individual who became a universe strongest was exceptional in all aspects, including talent, luck, and wisdom. If anyone truly regarded Great Axe founder as a brute, then they would certainly be the one to suffer. 2 peak treasures, no more. Hearing Great Axe founder's words, Dream Monster Ancestor grudgingly raised the price. 2 peak treasures were already a very heavy price for the monster race, but a decision had to be made now. The monster race could no longer afford too many losses. Lost treasures could be found again, whether in the original star or the Universe C, but losing a universe lord meant it was unknown when another could be cultivated. It should be known that throughout the countless years since the monster race's birth, the number of universe lords in the monster race has only been a little over 10, and it has been an extremely long time since a universe lord was born. Losing a universe lord meant it was truly lost, with no way to recover. 2 peak treasures, plus 1 top-tier treasure. Great Axe founder finally offered the price. Qin Hao continuously calculated in his mind upon hearing Great Axe founder's offer. 2 peak treasures were basically the minimum, and with an additional top-tier treasure, the probability of Dream Monster Ancestor agreeing was still very high. Under normal circumstances, Dream Monster Ancestor could have ignored them, mobilized the monster race's power to confront the human race directly, and forced the human race to make concessions. However, the current situation of the monster race left them without the confidence to start a war. Great Axe founder was also testing the monster race's bottom line and assessing their current state. The situation of the monster race was basically the same as that of the insect race and automaton race. After the assessment, the human race's subsequent plans would need to change based on the status of the 3 races. Especially the inheritance Qin Hao had passed down, from the military formation and fusion laws to the human gene chart, all required a certain amount of time to digest. The buffer period provided by the three races was the time the human race could wholeheartedly focus on improving. Agreed, Dream Monster Ancestor gritted his teeth and accepted. 2 peak treasures plus 1 top-tier treasure was the highest price he could accept right now. However, he had no choice but to agree. Release Lord of the Skywolf now. Dream Monster Ancestor continued to state his conditions. Meng Cha, you are too impatient. Wait until you have prepared the treasures, then we can talk. Great Axe Founder did not back down and retorted directly. The human race had never trusted the three races, monster race, insect race, and automaton race. Even the existence of a universe strongest had no credibility in Great Axe Founder's eyes. I need to confirm that Lord of the Skywolf is still alive, Dream Monster Ancestor said directly, primarily wanting to confirm that Lord of the Skywolf had not been controlled. After all, the soul's secret technique Qin Hao displayed was too powerful. Even he, a universe strongest, had been inadvertently ensnared. Lord of the Skywolf was, after all, only a universe lord. Facing such a powerful soul's secret technique, he could very likely be directly soul-enslaved. All right, Great Axe Founder gestured to Qin Hao beside him, indicating for Qin Hao to release Lord of the Skywolf first. Qin Hao nodded, opening his palm. A black and white millstone appeared in his hand. In the center of the millstone, a palace struggled to hold on under divine power. Lord of the Skywolf inside the palace was now in despair, even feeling as if the Skywolf palace could shatter at any moment. Demon Ancestor, help! Seeing the change in his surroundings, Lord of the Skywolf quickly spotted Dream Monster Ancestor in the distance and cried out excitedly, his resistance intensifying. Behave! Qin Hao snorted coldly, and the time-space millstone instantly rotated rapidly. The pressure on the Skywolf Palace abruptly increased, and Lord of the Skywolf immediately felt the pressure intensify, not daring to be distracted in the slightest. After Lord of the Skywolf settled down a bit, Qin Hao handed the time-space millstone in his hand to Great Axe Founder. Great Axe Founder did not hesitate. A spatial aisle opened before him, and Qin Hao, mobilizing the divine power within the time-space millstone, directly flung Lord of the Skywolf and the Skywolf Palace into the spatial aisle. Chapter 350, Return to the Human Race. Chapter 350, Return to the Human Race. Although the Lord of the Skywolf was trapped for not long, he was constantly being eroded by the time-space millstone during that period. Now his divine power is less than 1/10 of what it was. If this continues, the Lord of the Skywolf will soon fall into a deep slumber. Eventually, the Skywolf Palace will also be directly ground down by the time-space millstone, and the Lord of the Skywolf will become nourishment for the time-space millstone. Now, handing over the Lord of the Skywolf to the Great Axe Founder has a very clear purpose: to continue suppressing the Lord of the Skywolf, and to completely entrust the subsequent negotiation matters to the Great Axe Founder. The Great Axe Founder and the Dream Monster Ancestor completed their tasks. Qin Hao no longer cared how the transaction would ultimately be completed. Seeing that it was already a foregone conclusion, the Dream Monster Ancestor immediately used Divine Kingdom teleportation to leave. Before departing, the look in his eyes towards Qin Hao was full of killing intent. Although it was only a brief clash, this human race strong individual left a deep impression on him. Among 6th Order Universe Masters, he is an absolute strong individual, and with his powerful soul attainments, it is already very difficult for ordinary Universe Lords to threaten him. Moreover, strong individuals with powerful souls generally also have very strong willpower and character. Coupled with the talent in laws and divine body that Qin Hao displayed, becoming a universe strongest might just be a matter of time. He will be a huge threat. The Dream Monster Ancestor had already labeled Qin Hao in his heart and also developed killing intent towards him. Such a strong individual would definitely become a threat to the monster race in the future. The current strength of the human race has already made the three races feel threatened. Due to their growth rate and the rapid emergence of geniuses, In the past 10,000 years, the human race has seen the emergence of two extremely talented geniuses who possessed king-level strength even at the World Lord rank. One of them, after entering Purple Thorn Island, even possessed venerable-level law comprehension, winning over 6,000 battles and accumulating enough glory points to grow into a universe overlord-level existence. Now, another powerful universe lord has been exposed within the human race. There is no longer time to allow more geniuses to grow. The dream monster ancestor made a decision in his heart. Even if war cannot be initiated, actions against human race geniuses cannot stop. Even if a certain price must be paid, the human race's growth must be hindered to maintain the balance among the four races and ensure that the monster race is not annexed. At the same time, he would also redirect the automaton race and insect races' targets towards the human race, reducing the crisis faced by the monster race itself. After the dream monster ancestor left, Qin Hao and the Great Axe founder did not linger either, returning directly to the human race territory. Before leaving, Qin Hao also had some discussions with the Great Axe founder regarding the human race, abolishing some current issues concerning the ownership of life planets and the slave system. To this, the Great Axe founder did not give a clear answer, only telling Qin Hao that a giant axe meeting would be held for discussion. Qin Hao directly initiated Divine Kingdom teleportation and returned to the Star Palace. Upon returning to the Star Palace, Qin Hao did not stay long. After releasing Luo Feng from his Divine Kingdom, Qin Hao immediately went to the edge of the human race territory. The purpose of coming here was very clear: to settle the Dooku clan. Although the ice prison star belt is not large and could be entirely placed within the Milky Way galaxy, the Dooku clan itself is not human race. It is merely an affiliated race of humans. Settling them within the human race territory would still be somewhat inconvenient. Furthermore, for the Dooku clan, being in the human race territory would also feel uncomfortable. Therefore, Qin Hao decided to settle them on the edge of the human race territory, in an area where several affiliated human races gather. In the starry sky, Qin Hao's figure appeared in a blank starfield. This starfield had no other races or life planets. Its location had very complex energy. Cosmic energy was very rich, but it was within a cold cosmic wind, with cosmic winds blowing from time to time. Therefore, all planets within several light years around were basically covered in ice, with extremely low temperatures. It was precisely because of this that there was no life on these planets. Even if there were many ethnic groups nearby, none of them expanded their territory here. However, such an area might not be suitable for other races to live in, but for the Dooku clan, it was the most suitable living environment. After Qin Hao surveyed the surrounding area, 9 peak heavy treasure-level formation flags appeared in his hand, followed by 36 ordinary heavy treasure formation flags and 108 divine weapon-level formation flags. These formation flags all had a strong aura of water law divine power. The moment they appeared, Qin Hao's divine power enveloped these formation flags and directly teleported them to various positions in the starfield before him. Soon, divine power light flickered on the 9 peak heavy treasure formation flags. The water law and space law were mobilized, and waves of light, with the 9 formation flags as their core, began to continuously spread outwards. Subsequently, they enveloped the 36 ordinary heavy treasures within the light. The moment they came into contact with the light, the 36 heavy treasure formation flags began to absorb the light and amplify it, spreading it further. The blue light quickly covered an area of 1 light year. At the same time, it spread to the outermost 108 divine weapon-level formation flags, spreading outwards again, ultimately expanding the covered range to 10 light years. Within the 10 light-year range, all cosmic winds gradually weakened, continuously absorbed by the formation flags and converted into energy for the formation flags, supporting the entire grand formation. And the cosmic winds outside the grand formation, the moment they collided with the grand formation, also gradually transformed into the purest energy, condensing within the area covered by the Grand Formation. This environment should be good enough. Looking at the changes in the surrounding environment, Qin Hao nodded in satisfaction. Although the Dooku clan was subdued, it was only temporary, a helpless choice made under the circumstances. Whether the Dooku clan could truly become a force of the human race still depended on their mutual interactions. The area Qin Hao created now, although not as complex as the Wuhua secret realm, would provide a stronger cultivation boost for the Dooku clan. Besides converting the water law and space law from the cosmic wind into cosmic energy and manifest laws, Qin Hao also incorporated some insights from the Yan God secret realm. Although it couldn't directly improve the Dooku clan's aptitude, over time, it could still have some effect. Doing this was not only to reassure the Dooku clan, but also to conduct an experiment to see if it could truly bring about changes. After all, Zhu Shank's methods still needed to be verified by Qin Hao, and it was also to prepare for future popularization in cognition. After completing the improvement of the starfield, Qin Hao directly opened the Divine Kingdom passage and released the ice prison star belt. And that is it for today's chapter. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Drop a comment below. I want to know what you think is coming next. See you in the next one.